Gregor Show.
8 seconds to go. Buffetti on the wing. Wheeler's up and up. Wheeler's to Morrissey. And the Stars have the President's
On Sports 1440.
shot clock is down to 6. Gilgis Alexander. Jim Gilgis Alexander leading the moment.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Took Stuart Skinner's last win was in 1982. It was a shutout to San Jose Sharks. He's going to pick up his second career win tonight. Final 3.
A wonderful Wednesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely Wednesday. It's a Wing Wednesday at OTR, also karaoke night. Jasper having 118th. You want to get here? You know what? Few tables left, not tickets. You don't have to pay to get in. But you get great drink specials all day. You got wing specials throughout the show. And it's going to be a packed house again. Oilers, Vegas, Game 5. An opportunity for the Oilers to punch their ticket. Also, maybe if you have a sweet tooth like yours truly, the Blackberry Cheesecake Swirl Ice Cream. So good. Oh, my God. It's very good. I had to try one because I can't talk about it if I don't try, Connor. I'm man of the people. That's what I am. So I don't really like sweets, but I thought I'd sacrifice and try the ice cream. It was very good. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. And you can get in tonight, Lotto 649, the classic, the OG, 12 mil. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Some news for the Edmonton Oilers. No lineup changes for the Oilers. Obviously not. They're coming off their best performance of the playoffs. 3-0. Every facet of their game was going. Goaltending, depth scoring, physical, defense, everything. Rocking and rolling. And they'll go the same tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights. Sounds like Mark Stone is out. As Ken Bulkey from Sinbin in Vegas is reporting that Mark Stone, they're proceeding that he's not going to play. So that's a blow for them. And with him out of the lineup, that would mean some significant changes to all four lines. So Howden would move up with Eichel and Olofsson. Hertl will play with Roy and Dorofiev. He'll switch to the left side. Barbashev, Carlson, and Smith. Schwint then comes in with Kolazar and Pearson. So I'm curious, is it Barbashev, Carlson, and Smith against McDavid? Is it going to be Howden, Eichel, Olofsson against McDavid? Is Draisaitl going to get that matchup again? Edmonton won every matchup last game. So we'll see. But you know what? Edmonton's been the better team. There's no question about that. They've been the better team, and I think they're the quicker team. And I believe that tonight the Oilers will take care of business. They have done a very good job. When they've had a chance to clinch a series, under Chris Knobloch, they're 4-1. Dating back to 2023, they're 6-1. The only loss in a game that they could clinch was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. And that's when both teams could clinch. So a little bit different of a situation. So, yes, Vegas will be desperate. We know all the cliches. Fourth game's hardest one to win. Sure. But doesn't mean that the Oilers aren't ready. And I will fully expect them to match Vegas. Look for Vegas to have a much better start, though. Their coach talked about it last game. He felt like that's 2 consecutive starts where they weren't ready to go. So he's hoping that they will be better tonight. So look for Edmonton, who is 2-0 on the road this series, to go 3-0. And could you imagine that? Go 3-0 in Vegas, one of the best home teams in the regular season. The Oilers walk in. Thank you very much. Good night, Irene. That would give them a little extra break. Dallas will be in Winnipeg tomorrow night to try to knock off the Jets. Oiler fans will be then rooting for a Jets win because I would extend that series till at least Saturday night. Give the Oilers even more rest than their opponent. So we'll see. But a victory tonight would give Edmonton at least 3 days off. At least. likely more. So good sign for them. Also last night in the association, the Indiana Pacers. They do it again. They're going to the Final Four. They knock off the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers, 114-105. They win that one 4-1. OKC Thunder, the Canadian connection, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, played very well in that game, as did Lou Dort on the defensive side. But Gilgeous-Alexander, 31 points, 6 boards, 7 assists. He's solid again, and they are 1 win away from going to the Western Conference Final. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. In our eWell inbox, you can text us. We've got Mike Rupp coming up in the first hour. Then we'll open up the phone lines. We did it, you know what? We did a little playoff phone line opening. We like it. We'll get your thoughts, confidence, where it's at now. Because I'm going to say this. There was a lot of people when the playoffs started, lots of analysts outside of Edmonton, lots of analysts inside of Edmonton, lots of fans outside and inside of Edmonton who didn't think Edmonton had the depth to win. Well, we're gonna take a trip down depth lane right now for the Edmonton Oilers. And the Oilers' depth is playing so well that it's actually, I think, overshadowed how productive Connor McDavid's been. Connor McDavid last year in the playoffs, and he went nuclear. He had 1.68 points per game. He finished with 42 points, the 4th highest point total ever. He was only the 3rd player ever to get 40 points in the playoffs. Who did he join? The magnificent one, Mario Lemieux, and the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Not bad. Like, does McDavid ever have to? Maybe he's got to get a moniker. If there was like the great one, there's the great 8. I know there's McJesus, but not everybody calls him that, right? Oiler fans do. No one else does. Lots of people call Gretzky the great one. Maybe at some point you have to think of one of those for McDavid. We'll see. But he had 42 points last year in 25 games. Average 1.68 points per game. So everyone's like, yeah, the Oilers' depth's way better. They're not relying on McDavid. Well, it's true, but 2 things can be true at once. They're not relying on McDavid as much, but McDavid's actually being just as productive. He's got 17 points in 10 games. That's 1.70 points per game. Now, it's 10 games in, not 25, so we'll see if he maintains it. It's harder, usually, the deeper you go. But Connor McDavid's been pretty good. It's just the depth scoring. So, and the other thing is, because the Oilers' power play, through 10 games last year, the Oilers' power play had 14 goals on 35 chances. Now, they were murdering the LA Kings. But the Oilers' power play has actually been good. It's 27%. Now, it's not 40, but it's still 27%, which is more than reasonable. The difference is the Oilers' power play opportunities have gone in the ditch. Now, if you're an Oilers fan and you're watching the games, you're like, what the hell's going on? Sometimes you'd say, hey, maybe I'm biased as a fan, but guess what? The numbers would suggest that maybe you're not. Last year, at this time of the playoffs, the top 8 teams were averaging 3.05 power play opportunities per game. Combined average between all of them. Now, the Oilers were second highest. Okay, keep that in mind. This year, guess what? Now, it's different 8 teams. 4 of them are the same, 4 different ones. But you know what the average is for power play opportunities per game amongst those 8? 3.05. But guess what? The Edmonton Oilers are at 2.2. They've hit the ditch. They're not even close. Like, they've had 22 power play opportunities so far. Last year, the lowest team was 29 through 10 games. They're at 22. That's a significant drop, right? 25% less. The Oilers are actually 37% lower power play opportunities through 10 games of the postseason this year than they were last year. So you're not going crazy. But now, it hasn't cost them. It hasn't hurt them. But I think that's leading to this, wow, they're not really relying on their top guys. Well, because their power play has got 6 goals. It had 14 last year. But the big difference is the depth forwards. So if you look at the first unit power play guys, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, Hyman, and look what they've scored this year to last year, but last year they had 25 goals. Players not named them. So the other 13 had scored 13 goals through 10 games. The other 13 skaters this year Cons, you know how many goals they've combined for?
How many?
The depth guys in Edmonton?
I don't know. Do not know off the top of my head.
Off the top. Well, it's significant. It's almost double.
Okay.
They're at 24. So they've improved. You got, obviously Kane. Now, Kane had 3 last year, but he has 4 now. Perry has 5. He had none. Connor Brown has 4. Adam Henrique has 3. Darnell Nurse, Matthias Janmark each have 2. And then you've got Frederick, Arvidsson, Podkolzin, and Wallman each have 1. So you got way more depth scoring, 24 goals to 13 last year through 10 games. That's a big difference. But McDavid's still producing the same amount. And here's the other thing. Remember last year, and it wasn't talked about enough, but how Draisaitl was banged up. Draisaitl had 21 points in the first 10 playoff games last year. He was unreal. Then he got nicked up. Remember game 4 in Vancouver got hurt? The final 15 games of the playoffs he played, he scored 10 points in the final 15 games. He was banged up. So Draisaitl, his point production now, he could still end up with the exact same point totals, even if he just averages a point a game the rest of the way and the Oilers, play another 14 games. Which would seem plausible. If he stays healthy, that's another big difference. But the Oilers' depth across the board is way better. But their top guy, McDavid, still producing the same amount. So he's on pace for, guess what? 42 points. Exact same as he had last year, which would be nuts because the only player in NHL history to have 42 points twice in the playoffs, Wayne Gretzky. He had 43 and 47. So you're watching the Oilers, you're like, damn, they're pretty good. And you're like, McDavid doesn't have to be great. He's still really good. It's just because everybody else is scoring more, it doesn't look like he's factoring in on as much as the offense, even though he still got 17 points. Now, the Oilers as a team through 10 games have 42 goals this year. They had 38 last year. So a slight improvement, not massive, right? But a slight improvement for sure. 4 more goals, right, over 10 games. So it's good. Almost a half a goal a game more. Great. 0.4. So it's good. But it's really been their depth guys that have come up massive this season. And because of that, I don't think they're all going to hit the skids at once. You're getting different guys all the time. Every forward, now Kapanen, this will be his second game. He's the only guy who hasn't scored a goal, who's played 2 games. And his second game isn't over. He could score tonight. We'll see. Nurse has got goals. Bouchard, Wallman, right? They're getting goals from the back end. They're getting goals from everywhere. So it's a good problem. And they're just better than Vegas right now. They're healthier. They're faster. And I think they're a little bit more determined because this is a team that hasn't won. And they've got that hanging over them. So I look for them to put them out of their misery tonight. It won't be easy, but I think it is. Hey, Greggs, who's responsible for communicating with the league about this strange imbalance of penalties? Nick. Oh, well, I'm sure it'd be the Edmonton Oilers. But if you're Stan Bowman, you're strategic in when you're going to mention it. Right? You don't do it after wins. You know what? You were down 2-0 in the series to LA, and at that point, it wasn't an issue. Right? But since then, the Oilers are 7-1. So, you know what? He might do a subtle mention of it, but you kind of wait and bide your time to want to, make a stink about it. Is kind of my understanding from talking to other GMs. There is a little bit of diplomacy in how you go about it to make your point known. And if you look at it, theoretically, they should get more power plays. Now, anybody who plays Vegas all year, Vegas doesn't take a lot of penalties. So I do have to factor that in. But the LA Kings weren't, the least penalized team in the NHL. And they had 20 power plays. The Kings have 20 power plays. They played 6 games. The Oilers have 22. They played 10. The St. Louis Blues aren't even in the second round, and they've still had more power play opportunities than the Oilers. It is kind of wild. There's no debating that. I haven't seen a gross amount of blatant missed calls. 2 blatant ones, I think, were missed for me. The cross check in round 1 on Kane from behind, that's a penalty all day long. And there is the one on McDavid. I can't remember the game it was. I thought, okay, that should be a penalty. But there's some ticky-tack ones for sure. And it is odd that Edmonton has played 10 straight games. And I'm all for, if you want to call power plays, it shouldn't always even out. I don't believe in that. That's a joke. But I don't believe the Oilers are clearly taking more penalties every game than the opposition, especially when they have the puck more. So it's an oddity, but it hasn't hurt them, and we'll see if it changes. 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, what's 5-on-5 scoring this year versus last year? Well, Ken, 28 this year, 23 last year. It's better, up by 5. So now where they've improved actually is the Oilers have scored 2 extra attacker goals, right? They came in that LA. Now they had 2 in game 1 against LA, right? They pulled their goalie. So that's a little bit of an oddity. And they the power plays are down by 8, but the 5-on-5 is higher. They also have a few empty net goals more this season. Hey, Gregor, it'd be a really good indicator of the difference in depth compared to last year. Well, yeah. And remember how many people, the Oilers' depth, that they don't have Holloway, they don't have Fogle, they don't have McLeod. And I politely said, hey, look at the goals they scored. Now, I know everybody was looking at Holloway this year, and I get it this year. He's been better. But that's not what they weren't replacing Dylan Holloway this year. They're replacing Dylan Holloway last year. And Arvidsson, Skinner, and Podkolzin scored more goals in the regular season than McLeod, Fogle, and Holloway did last year. Then you throw in a healthy Kane now, and you throw in Frederick, and you throw in, Corey Perry, who's, sipping and really chugging from the fountain of youth right now. It's made a big difference. And keep in mind, the Oilers are doing all this without Matthias Ekholm. Right, Wallman's come in. He's been great, right? Filling in on the left side. He's been fantastic. Right, John Klingberg has been a huge addition. Take a quick break. When we come back, Mike Rupp will join us. We'll talk playoffs. Hey, it's a double dip of Canada tonight. You get the early game. Oh, man. How well, there should be excitement. I don't even know if Leaf fans can enjoy the excitement. We'll see, but there should be some excitement. Also, some news today in the coaching carousel. Rick Tocchet is expected as the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Also, Adam Foote is the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Cons, what were you saying?
Tocchet officially announced by the Flyers, so it's officially happening.
Yeah, no, and Adam Foote is, of course, the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. So still quite a few teams. What is that? 3 teams still. Pittsburgh needs a coach. Seattle needs a coach. And I'm missing someone else. There's a few other vacancies still out there. So we'll see. I know people wonder, what about Jay Woodcroft? What about Todd Nelson? They both interviewed, but so far haven't come up. Anaheim's replaced their coach. Vancouver's replaced their coach. Philadelphia has replaced their coach. The LA Kings, our understanding is from Bernstein that Ken Holland's going to be officially announced as a GM tomorrow, but that Hiller's likely to stay on as their head coach. So we'll see. We'll come back on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Then we'll get some open line time, 833-401-1440. It's the Gregor Show live and on the rocks, Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta sports and casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
April showers brought huge deals to Wolf GMC Buick. It's truck month all of May, and we froze our prices on in-stock inventory to save you money. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on some of our most popular Sierra pickups, or select up to $8,000 off on these amazing trucks. If you're in need of an SUV, good news, we have a great selection of Buicks and GMCs. Plus, Costco members may be eligible for an additional $1,200 discount. What are you waiting for? Spring into Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991. or visit silentrides.ca.
At Fountain Tire, we're all about one thing, taking care of your vehicle. Oh, and your wallet. I guess that's 2 things. Save up to 20% off select tires until June 14th. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Playoff time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker, and join us for the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Cross Mitsubishi on 34th Ave and 96th Street.
Grant Fedoruk here from Leading Edge Physiotherapy. Now, some people live with problems they don't have to because they might not know that we're here, the things we can do, and the issues we can help. Problems less talked about, like incontinence, vertigo, Bell's palsy, and lymphedema. Or even things people live with every day, like shoulder, neck, and low back pain. So while a lot of people already know we have the people, tools, and technology to help you head to toe, I'm going to keep at this, because if just one more person gets the care they need, then every penny we spend sharing what and who we can treat is worth it. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Missioner Allen Auction's unreserved retirement dispersal auction for Double D Bobcat service at Cold Lake, Alberta is this Thursday at 9 a.m. Featuring over 650 auction lots, including deck trucks, gravel trucks, hydrovacs, tractors, pickups, and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood-burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebans.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebans.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
The My Choice sales event is back at Nissan. Get our best-selling Rogue, ready for adventures with plenty of room for cargo and crew. Right now, choose select 2025 Rogue models with $1,500 in Nissan bonus or accessory credit, or choose 3-year prepaid maintenance. The choice is yours with My Choice. Hurry in. These offers won't last long. Head to your local Nissan dealer and make your choice today. Available with leasing or financing through NCF. Conditions apply. See nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Missioner Allen Auction's unreserved retirement dispersal auction for Double D Bobcat service at Cold Lake, Alberta is this Thursday at 9 a.m. Featuring over 650 auction lots, including end dumps, lowboys, gravel pups, goosenecks, jeeps, equipment trailers, and skid structures. Info at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. Get your power play amped up with eWell, supplying the City of Champions in Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. eWell.ca is your partner in power.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.223, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's Game Day, Game 5. Tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. Looks like Mark Stone won't be playing for Vegas. Oilers going to go with the exact same lineup. That will be the second game of the night in the National Hockey League. A pivotal Game 5 out east in Toronto has the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. That series is locked up at 2. Well, the other 3 series are all 3-1. So the Oilers could be the first team to officially move on to the next round if they are victorious tonight. And then tomorrow you have Carolina and Dallas both on the road with opportunities to punch their tickets to the third round. We shall see. Let's go around the NHL now, brought to you by McDonald's. All sizes of premium roast coffee have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small every single day. Must be McCafe only at McDonald's. As Mike Rupp from the NHL Network, former NHLer, Stanley Cup winner, joins us now. Rupper, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Cool. You know what? I'm pretty good. The playoffs, hey, they're always exciting, man. The first period of the last Oiler-Vegas game might have been the best period of the playoffs.
Yeah.
There was that stretch of 6 minutes that was unreal, even though there was no goals. It was just end-to-end and physical, and the place is going nuts. There's big saves. It was awesome. Let's get to that Florida-Toronto. We'll get to Edmonton next. But Florida and Toronto, we saw the Domi play on Barkov. First of all, like, people are screaming for a suspension on that. I don't think it's suspension worthy. I think it's cheap, but I don't think it's a suspension. And I also, in today's era of hockey, the only way there's going to be retribution, Rupper, is if the game gets out of hand.
Yeah, I agree with that. If the game gets out of hand, that would be maybe the foundation for something to happen. And I think if there is a team that would maybe do something, it's probably Florida, just because, and it may not be what we're used to seeing back in the day. It might be kind of like we've seen in the past. They'll go after someone else on your team. It'll kind of, an eye for an eye. It kind of seems like that's how the Panthers go about it. But yeah, I agree. I didn't think it was anything that should be suspendable, but it's the playoffs, and we've seen quite a bit of dirty play in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, what do you make of the storyline in Toronto? Well, Austin Matthews, he might be banged up, sure, but some guys say, hey, you know what? If you're in the lineup, then your job's to prove. He's getting tons of shots. He's just not scoring. So if he's banged up, well, why is he still getting chances?
Yeah.
To me, the banged up's kind of an excuse. You're just not finishing your plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's bang on. He's getting looks. I mean, if he was hurting and wasn't getting looks, or when you saw him shooting the puck, if it seemed like even shooting the puck was an issue, then I can understand that. But no, he's been right there. I mean, if you get a couple to fall, who knows? Especially with a guy like that, how streaky he can get as far as getting on a run, scoring goals. So I think it's right there. I feel like it's a matter of time till Austin breaks out here. I will say, dating back, and I don't want to be the one that always piling on. He hasn't had good numbers and later in series, and you could date this back for quite some time. So maybe the fact that it hasn't fallen earlier in series, in this series in particular, is a bit of a concern. But man, all it takes is one to get this guy going, and if he can get one in Game 5 tonight, or in Game 6, or if it goes to Game 7, I mean, that's all you're asking for. I think he's right there, to your point. I'm not using that as an excuse that he's banged up.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. Like, if you're banged up, then you're probably not getting the excuses you can't get from point A to point B. But he's been there. The matchup game, if you're Toronto on home ice, is there a matchup that if you're Craig Berube, you would like to get tonight?
Oh, man. That's tough. Because I think it's almost like picking your poison there. I think a lot of times in matchups, you try to get into the mind. I mean, if you know exactly what you want, and it's clear as day, like you're playing against the Edmonton Oilers, you want to get matchups on, Connor. And it's pretty obvious what you want to do to try to slow him down or negate maybe him in some ways. But the Florida Panthers, I think you got to pick. It's tough. I almost want to know, you almost want to get in the mind of the Florida Panthers. Like, what matchups would they like to have? What ones would you like to kind of disrupt them from getting to? I know they're on the road, but there's still ways and players and matchups that you would want to try to get if you're Paul Maurice. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first and foremost, I think whenever Sasha Barkov's on the ice, but you got to play that into your favor as well, because they're going to use Sasha Barkov a certain way. So you almost got to manipulate what they're going to do or what you think they're going to do. And I think that's where this kind of becomes a real chess match.
Yeah, well, the matchups can be a huge factor, Upper. Like, you look at that Dallas series right now. It is It's mind-blowing to me the goals that Connor Hellebuyck has allowed. This guy's a Vezina Trophy winner, and he is leaning forward on, like, I'm a goalie expert. I talked to Kevin Wood, but even I, after listening to Woodley for 5 years in our show, I'm like, okay, like he's got no confidence. Like that first Granlund goal, some people are like, oh, they gave up the blue line too easy. I'm like, he shot an unscreened shot from about 10 feet inside the blue line. And no offense, this is not Ovechkin or Matthews or Draisaitl. It's Granlund. He's not a known sniper, and he beats you clean through a non-screen. Like, that's all in your goalie. And man, right now Winnipeg is getting goalied by their own goalie.
Yeah, I hate to say it's tough to watch, but it is, because he's so good. We know how great he is. And when it's all said and done, I mean, you're talking about a guy that with the contract he signed in Winnipeg, I mean, he could be, I don't have it in front of me. He could be top 3 in wins. Like, I mean, he's a great goalie, but for whatever reason, he's fighting it. And to your point too, he's playing small. He's scrunching down. And I was talking with Corey Schneider a lot during these playoffs, and he's saying like his glove hand is a problem, not just because they're beating him glove high, but he's almost like taking stabs at the puck. And he goes, that's a bad place for a goaltender to be, where it's like you're reaching. He's reaching, as opposed to maybe he's getting so far out of position. Maybe there's a lot of question marks maybe in his head, but he just doesn't. To your point, I mean, you could look at the game and say, all right, well, he wasn't terrible in the game, but he's let that one in that you can't, and no goalie should, and he's one that certainly shouldn't. And that Granlund, that first one was one of those. But the fact that what was that shot 4 in the game? I mean, he's had 4 times of the first shot on goal. I mean, these are things that they're tough. They're tougher for him. They're tougher for the rest of the team. And it's tough to watch, because this guy has been so lights out. He's going to win the Vezina again this year. And I don't know, man. It's like part of me wants him to right this ship real quick, drag this series to 7 games, and at least maybe even if they still lose, at least look like himself, because right now he doesn't.
Mike Rupp joins us from the NHL Network. Let's move to tonight's game, Oilers in Vegas. And Rupper, there was a lot of people that questioned the Oilers' depth before the playoffs began, that are sitting there with a huge plate of crow and a knife and fork, because the Oilers' depth, it's funny, the Oilers' depth is so good, Rupper, that people aren't even talking about the fact that Connor McDavid, whoever's like, oh my God, Connor McDavid went nuclear last year. He had 42 points. He's on pace for 42 points. He has the exact same points per game.
Yeah.
He's actually slightly higher this year, but the depth scoring, they've got 24 goals compared to 13 last year. And it's just allowed them not to have to rely as much on McDavid, even though he's scoring at the same rate.
You know what's interesting is, so the one thing I think that really changed with this team, and I've said it on here with you over the course of the season, and there's been times where the depth has not been great, and we know that. But I think the big thing, and I always went back to, is I felt like the loss of speed, a little bit of youthfulness, that was it. And I think it was at times where this team wasn't as fast without a Holloway or a McLeod up front, and what those guys brought last year. But let's not forget, like, a lot of the guys who came through for this team in big ways, in big moments in last year's run, they're still on this roster. They might be playing on a different line, but these are guys that, having Evander Kane back, you sit there and you wonder, like, what would a healthy Evander Kane have done for this team in the playoffs last year? And I just find that they're playing smart hockey. And so they're getting depth, scoring, production. But I look to, for an example, that the Kane goal the other night, where it starts off in a defensive zone. And I love this play. And Adam Henrique, I unfortunately was at the losing to his hands of back in 2012 in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's such a smart player. And we know this time of year is built for a guy like that. But he gets the puck in the D zone. He kind of lugs the puck around. He goes off for a line change. They're coming out of D zone. And I think ends up springing kind of Connor Brown's got the puck. He dumps it in. And it's like a 2-on-3, him and Evander Kane. They go in there. They just battle for pucks below the goal line. And then the puck ends up coming out from Vegas. And then you have Connor Brown makes a smart change. Well, in that time, you had, Connor McDavid was the first one to come on. Then you have Zach Hyman come on, and then all of a sudden it turns up ice. Evander King gets he's the recipient of a great couple feeds by Bouchard and McDavid, who spring him, and he scores that goal. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's hockey. Like, that's the playoffs. And we can sit here all day and talk about some of the beautiful plays, because there are beautiful plays, and I love watching those more than anybody. But proper line changes, not having wholesale changes because you're tired, being smart about your changes, and in that sequence, having one guy off at one point, another guy off at another point, and now you have two fresh bodies. Like, that's playoffs. Those decisions are what win. And right now, Edmonton's doing it. They're doing it regularly, and I think it's been a real difference.
Mike Rupp joins us. It has been, last game, they put Draisaitl's newfound line with Kapanen, who came in for Arvidsson, and Podkolzin, who's a really good defensive-minded player, out against Jack Eichel's line, and they really didn't have anything 5-on-5. You're Vegas tonight, and you're Bruce Cassidy. You don't have Mark Stone by the sounds of it, so you got Howden and Olsen playing with Eichel. Do you put Eichel out against McDavid's line because of his speed, and that's who you played, or do you let Draisaitl go? Because Draisaitl big and strong, very different type of defender. Like, I think Draisaitl's a better pure defender than Connor McDavid, right? Obviously, McDavid's a better offensive player, but I think Draisaitl's a better defensive player. What would you do if you're Bruce Cassidy for matchups tonight with last change?
It's so tough because you're confident in your guys, and I would be extremely confident in Jack Eichel putting him out there in any situation. I think that what he's turned into as a player, I mean, for me, he's a top 5 center in this league. And I think a lot of people would be shocked at who I'd have him over on that said list. But here's the thing. He's so important to your team offensively, and he's so good with puck possession that you're sitting there and you're thinking, my knee-jerk is put him out there with Connor. Put him out there when Connor's on the ice, and let's see who's going to possess the puck. But here's the problem. You're dealing with greatness on the other side. You might not have the puck, and now all of a sudden you're already without Mark Stone, and you're going to have your most potent player offensively chasing the puck around all night. Like, I don't know. Maybe you try it. You see how it goes. I think Jack has the ability to hold on to pucks and maybe do that same thing to Chris Knobloch and the Oilers of just possessing the puck. But you don't know if it's going to work that way. These are two guys that are elite. One guy's the best player in the world, but I think that's the only way you kind of flip this. It kind of feels like you're going to have a game here to close out this series, whether it's tonight, the next game, or if there is a game after that. If Edmonton moves on, I feel like there's a Connor game coming up here, right? Like, it kind of just feels like there's going to be that, and that's easy to say because it seems like most games can be a Connor game in the regular season and postseason. But maybe to throw a wrinkle into it, I'd probably go Jack Eichel against them, but you got to be on your toes ready to get off of that.
Yeah, it is interesting. Have you been, like, how impressed have you been about the Oilers' defense without Ekholm?
Very, very. I will say this. There's been moments in the playoffs, I think it's been much better lately, but Evan Bouchard's had some moments on both sides in these playoffs, but he's been getting better. I think John Klingberg is one who I some of the decision making I don't love, but he's also been really good at advancing zones and advancing the puck and allowing the forwards to get going on the offense. And it seems like everyone's kind of just falling into their own right now, and it's looking pretty good. I never thought that was the one thing. When Matthias Ekholm went down, I thought to myself, this team's not going to win. They're not going to be able to do that this year. And they're just simply not going to be able to do it. And here they are. Brian Boyle and I at NHL Network were talking about this yesterday. I think what I'm watching from Edmonton, I'm not trying to put the cart ahead of the horse. The style and the way that they're playing and defending, and they're playing nasty, it looks a lot like Florida last year in Florida's run. And I know that Edmonton was one game away from winning, but they look different this time. Like, and they are very. I'm so impressed because there's no Matthias Ekholm. Yeah, this team's a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, well, they are very physical. It's funny. Like, you look at a guy like Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman has 65 hits right now, Rupper. 65 through 10 games last year. He had like 28. Like it's massive. Like their whole team, the Oilers have 292 hits to 237. And there's been some big hits. Like Kasperi Kapanen came in and absolutely steamrolled guys in that shift and early in that first period. And he's a pretty thick dude, but he's a fast player. Like those hits hurt, right? Like he got Pietrangelo hard, and then he really steamrolled over Brett Howden. Like there's hitting and then there's hitting. You know what I mean? And the Oilers right now are hitting with a little bit more force than just rubbing guys out.
No, and if you were to ask me before this started, the playoffs started or the series started, I would have said, I don't think you want to get in that physical game with Vegas. I mean, Vegas is a team that I don't think they're overly. They got some big boys though. I mean, that's been their bread and butter is a lot of how hard they make it to get to your net. To get to their net. They've got some heavy players on that team, and I just think that Edmonton is. I mean, they're fierce right now. I mean, the way they're playing, it's nasty, and some of it's clean, some of it's not. But it's all playoff hockey. You got to be nasty, and they are nasty right now.
Rupper, great stuff with you, my man. We appreciate it. We will chat with you next Wednesday. Enjoy the games.
Awesome, Greg. Enjoy, buddy.
There you go. That's Mike Rupp from the NHL Network. Oilers have been impressive, man. Physically, they're just pounding teams significantly more than last year. They're scoring more. They got the puck more, and they're hitting more. Don't ever give me that garbage. Well, you only hit when you don't have the puck. It's such a fallacy. God, it annoys me. It's like one of the worst narratives someone can say. Oh, no, you have the puck. You don't hit. Wrong. First of all, no one has the puck a lot. You're like, a great team has like a 55% Corsi. So that means 45% of the game, they don't have the puck. So guess what? You'll always need to be physical. Does not hurt yourself to be physical and score goals and possess the puck. That's what championship teams do, right? Florida won last year. Who's the most physical team in the league? Florida. We'll come back. We're going to open up the phone lines. What's your thoughts going into tonight, Oilers fans? They ending it tonight? What's impressed you most about the Oilers in this series? Now, Rupper said, hey, Bouchard, his first few games against LA, not great. But since then, in this series, he's been excellent. I don't think you can find any complaint in Evan Bouchard's game. So we'll discuss that. 833-401-1440. We'll open up the phone lines on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular price. The works, the meats. Pick your favorite specialty pizza and get even more delicious Papa John's to enjoy. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Don't miss the midweek showdown on Wednesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. thestingers.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features, including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this truck month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Been waiting for this since preseason. It's playoff time, and Sports 1440 is your home for all things hockey. Kevin, Lowtide, Jason, and the pre- and post-game shows with Andrew. So many reasons why we're Edmonton's sports leader.
Legend has foretold of a smoothie so delicious and refreshing that it could quench the thirst of a fire-breathing dragon.
But it's also a great pick-me-up after a workout.
The new Dragon Slaya smoothie from Booster Juice, a legendary blend of dragon fruit and mangoes, destined to be your next obsession. Try it today along with the new Dragon Booster Ball and the Pink Dragon Booster Mixer.
3 epic menu items to conquer your cravings. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Mr. Rooter hits the gym.
As a new Mr. Rooter plumber, you get access to our company gym.
Nice. Where's the equipment?
Over here, we have a variety of tight pickle jars. Open those up to work out your pipe wrenching muscles. We've got your standard weighted plungers, and over here, a pipe wrench.
Why is that guy forcing his body into a suitcase?
He's getting limber. A good plumber must be able to fit under any sink.
For a plumber who always works out, call Mr. Rooter.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood-burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebans.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebans.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Did you? Yeah. Portions of this hour brought to you by Garage Superstore by Premier Built Garages, the ultimate destination for everything garage. Storage solutions, cabinets, vehicle hoists, accessories, and even Traeger grills. Visit our massive 8,000 square foot showroom at Calgary Trail and 34th Ave or online at garagesuperstore.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
247. Game day, Oilers, Vegas, and hey, your place to watch the game on the Rocks, Jasper Ave and 118th Street. Fantastic TVs and hey, great staff, man. Also, it's a Wing Wednesday from 5 right through until the game. So you get great deals on wings and beer specials, $5.25 during the game. So enjoy happy hour prices even before the game. So trust me, this is a great place to watch it. And then afterwards, it's karaoke night. Imagine the songs that will be sung if the Oilers win tonight. It will be rather rowdy on a Wednesday night. Reminds me back in the days, those who went ladies' night at Barry T's on a Wednesday. Used to be pretty hopping. Do they even have ladies' nights anymore at bars? I don't think so. Hi, Cods. Do you know?
I don't remember even in my going out days a ladies' night. I think
you don't remember ladies' night.
It was Union. I think had it on Saturday nights, before early. But that's the last one I can remember.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They don't. Yeah. I'll have to ask. Wanger might know. Wanger, do they have ladies' night anymore in the city? No, he's shaking his head. So that's a thing of the past. Oh yeah. So thing of the past. Oh man, classics. Some of the lady listeners will know. But yeah, so anybody, young guys, what are you talking about? What was ladies' night? Well, basically they had ladies' night. It was only ladies in the bar till a certain time, and usually they used to have male dancers there at those establishments, and then you'd open it up 11 o'clock. Now, I guess technically guys could go to ladies' night. I shouldn't say that, but I don't know anybody who did. You just wait until you knew when it was over, and then you go. So because it would be like a bar full of ladies. It was perfect, win-win for everybody. Now, let's get to the callers, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. So we go to Rowdy. Rowdy, how are you? What's on your mind?
Hey, Jason. It's good to talk to you, man. Watch you guys every day. I just got to watch the Oilers all my life, and the last game, when they put on a clinic like that, a defensive clinic, I've seen this before. And I know I talked in Carrier's show about this, it's a long time ago, but the 1990s team, when they won the cup. And I mean, it was a long time ago, but reminds me a lot of that team where they had a lot of, new people, had some injuries. Ranford goes in there down 3-1 against Winnipeg. But when they found their legs, they got that, that defense first mentality, they steamrolled. And it's looking like the same way. I mean, Knobloch, his last changes, the last game, I had some serious questions about it, but I think we're going to close it out tonight. And if we don't, we'll close it out at home. And so just wanted to say that's my opinion. Watch you guys every day, and I just want to thank you again, Greg, for all you do for charity. Love you guys. Watch your show. Take care.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Hey, you know what? Everybody I love about our listeners is that everybody seems to be on board with wanting to help out the charity. So it's definitely a team effort for that, for sure. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Now this is one that I've had a lot of these lately, and I'm going to blame Lowtide because he's written about it. And people are, oh, Bouchard's going to get an offer sheet. What happens if Bouchard gets an offer sheet? So I think people are really overlooking the obvious here. An offer sheet, is it a for sure? No. But you know what's a for sure? Arbitration. Evan Bouchard is eligible for arbitration. If he doesn't sign a contract extension before July 1st, I expect that he will file for arbitration because that will guarantee him that he gets a contract. And trust me, his numbers in arbitration, good. They're going to be real good. Once you file for arbitration, you're not eligible for an offer sheet. I understand the trepidation because the Oilers had guys offer sheeted last year. Neither one was eligible to go to arbitration. Evan Bouchard is, and if he doesn't have a contract, I fully expect him to file for arbitration because he could have a record-breaking arbitration case. He's got huge numbers. Huge numbers. So it's not happening. Okay. Why would you? Because if he doesn't file for arbitration, now you would have, he could get an offer sheet. Maybe, but that's not a guarantee. Arbitration will guarantee that you get a contract. And his stats, like he had quote, and I'm using parentheses for those listening, but those watching could see it. In quotations, not parentheses. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use quotations. In quotations, he had a down year by some people. He was still fourth highest scoring defenseman in the NHL. And then look at his playoff numbers. And that's actually back-to-back years with big playoff performances. Look, and time on ice matters, people. I know that Bouchard will make a few big errors. So what? The arbitrator is going to look at all of the numbers. They're going to look at time on ice. Well, the guy can't be that bad. He's playing 25 minutes a night. Look at what his numbers are in the playoffs. Then you look at his offensive numbers. And offensive guys get paid. So I fully expect that you will see Evan Bouchard's camp file for arbitration. Thus, there will be no option of an offer sheet. So I would keep that in mind for sure. Hey, guys, I love the research on many topics. I looked at Granlund's shot on Hellebuck. The puck leaves the stick at the top of the circle. I think that's 29 feet inside the blue line. You mentioned 10. I'm not a goalie defender, but I feel bad for the guy, even though he's our opponent in national competitions. Love the show from Gyro. Well, I don't care what the distance was. That's a shot, unattested, not screened, that needs to be saved. This is a guy who's a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender, and it's Marcus Granlund. Right? This is not... Mikhail Granlund, not Marcus. Mikhail Granlund. You know what? Like that was his second goal of the playoffs. This guy's he's actually known as a passer. Did you see his comments after the game? Well, usually I pass. So I thought I'd try something different tonight. He had a hat trick. But you go watch that, and I'll actually I'll get the play-by-play because it will tell me the exact distance of that shot. It is hard for me. 32 feet is what they deem it as. And it's a snapshot from a non-lethal goal scorer. And Hellebuck, lots of the goalie guys were like, his form was completely off. Steve Valiquette, though, obviously is going to break it down way better than I did. But even an amateur like me on goalie, I saw that goal, I was like, well, he should make that. For him, that's a save he should make 99 times out of 100. And guess what? He's had way too many of those this postseason. The Jets didn't even play bad in that. I actually thought the Jets outplayed Dallas for lots of that game, but Ottinger made more saves, and Hellebuck, who's supposed to be one of the best goalies in the league, he didn't make any. So not good enough. Hey, Gregor, what did an arbitration number look like for Bouchard? I think trending close to Darlene territory. Thanks, Mark. Well, Darlene's 11.5. I don't know if it'd be that high. They'll and Bouchard's camp. Now, here's the thing. You win a cup once, there's going to be that taste, and you can talk to your client and everything, because just because you file for arbitration doesn't mean you're going to actually go through with it, right? The orders in Bouchard's camp, all that arbitration does really is it gives you more time for both sides to negotiate. The orders, if they don't have a deal by June 3rd, they want arbitration because that gives them more time to negotiate. And it might come down right to the wire, but as I've said all along, people just have to wrap their head around. He's going to get paid $10 million. That's just how it is. You can hate it, then hate it, but you're going to be you're fighting against the inevitable at that point, right? You just are. Hey, Greg, do you think Bouchard will be on the Olympic team? I don't know. Nor do I care. Nor do I think the orders care. Right? Everybody's going to have different assessments. I'll say this: Bouchard's last 2 playoffs, he'd be on the Olympic team. Now, his regular season play, this year wasn't as great as you'd like. But Evan Bouchard has shown now at the biggest moments, he steps up. And no one can use, he's got Matthias Ekholm as an argument this year. He's not playing with Matthias Ekholm. He's bounced around. They played 5 defensemen for most of the playoffs. Right? And it's not like Brett Kulak lately has been the stalwart. So you can't even take away any of what Evan Bouchard's doing. Like, in this series, has Bouchard made a play that made you groan? Not that I can think of. Right? He made 2 in game 1 against LA. That's really it. I haven't seen any other glaring errors from Evan Bouchard since. So I would look and say, hey, man, I would look at Canada's defense corps. And if Bouchard, you know what? In the regular season, I think people can get sucked into, does he look a little bit nonchalant at times? Yeah, maybe. But I can't look past what he's done. And even his biggest detractor can't look past what he's done in the playoffs 2 years in a row now. And this year, even without Ekholm, there has been no issue whatsoever. So I think I would say Bouchard is playing himself into the conversation to be on that team. How can he not be? Look what he's doing. I encourage you to show me the mistake he's made in this series that's glaring. Or really, in their last 8 games, how many has he made? For a guy who plays 25 minutes a night, how many glaring errors has he made? Just let me know. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. How does Bouchard get paid more than Makar? Because the salary cap changes year to year. Makar got paid 3 years ago, my man, when the salary cap wasn't going to be then what it is now. And here's the funny stat that no one really talks about with Cale Makar. Go back and look at Cale Makar's. The year they won the Stanley Cup, in the 3rd and 4th round, Cale Makar got outscored 12-6, 5-on-5. Cale Makar is a dynamic player. But if you think he doesn't have some weaknesses defensively, and what did Cale Makar do this year in the postseason? Did he score a goal? Did his team win a series? He plays a ton of minutes. Did he impact the game at both ends of the ice for the Colorado Avalanche in their series against Dallas? Right? He had 5 points in 7 games. Decent numbers, but not out of this world. So you look at his last 3 years in the playoffs, Cale Makar has played 24 games. He has 7 goals and 18 assists. So he has, if I'm doing the math, he has 25 points in 24 games in the last 3 years of the playoffs. Now, do Evan Bouchard's last 3 years in the playoffs. So again, 25 points in 24 games. Bouchard, last 3 years in the playoffs. Do you know what Bouchard has for points? 61. Cale Makar has 25. Now, Bouchard has played more games, 47. But he's an over a point a game player. 61 points, and he also has 14 goals. I know I'm not. Hey, Cale Makar is more dynamic for sure. Skates better, does lots of things. I'm not sure he's a better defender. Now, when Evan Bouchard makes a big mistake, it's a big mistake. I don't debate that. But look at all the overall numbers. I know people don't want to hear it because Bouchard's play at times can really frustrate you. But his offensive numbers are off the charts good. And hey, it's not just because of Ekholm. We're seeing that. And Cale Makar's had some pretty good offense players, and McKinnon and Rantanen he played with all the time. Offense needs offense. So, but Bouchard's going to get more because the salary cap goes up. And you're going to be buying way more unrestricted free agent seasons of Bouchard's deal than you were with Makar's deal, right? That's just simple numbers. 3 o'clock. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. Your AC, you need it fixed right away tonight. On the weekend, they'll do it. No OT. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day Oilers, Golden Knights down in Sin City. Puck drop just after 7:30. Our pregame coverage gets going at 6 with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Oilers with a chance to wrap this one up, leading 3-1. At 5 o'clock, you got the Panthers in Toronto taking on the Leafs. That series tied at 2 games apiece. Off the ice, Vancouver Canucks making some news, announcing Adam Foote as the 22nd head coach in franchise history in the Philadelphia Flyers. Now you got former head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Rick Tocchet, named as their 25th head coach in franchise history. In the association tonight, Celtics and Knicks meeting at 5 o'clock. The Knicks do lead that series 3-1. Then at 7:30, you got the Warriors and Timberwolves meeting in Minnesota. Minnesota up 3-1. Steph Curry has been cleared for shooting drills and on-court workouts despite a strained left hamstring, giving him a chance to play if they can force a game 6. In the majors, a couple games going on right now. Diamondbacks on top of the Giants 8-2, and the Orioles leading the Twins 6-4. Later tonight, the Jays will host the Rays. First pitch at 5:07. PWHL today, Toronto, Minnesota meeting at 5 o'clock. The Frost can wrap up their best-of-5 series, leading 2-1. And in the WHL, Medicine Hat is in Spokane once again, taking on the Chiefs. That gets going at 8 o'clock. Tigers leading 2-1 from the NFL. Baltimore Ravens and running back Derrick Henry agreeing to a 2-year extension for $30 million, 25 of which is guaranteed. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation, and it's your next chance to qualify for Here Comes the Sun. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot. And Molson Canadians for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref.
That ain't hard, is it?
And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocks.com.
I won't shave till we bring home the cup. And I like to do a shot for every playoff goal.
My jersey's not coming off until we're the city of champs again.
Want a playoff superstition that always wins? Pick up a bag of Wilhauk beef jerky for every game. Because when it comes to the playoffs, where there's a Wilhauk, there's a way.
Make every playoff game a Wilhockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't bring home the cup with salad. The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $999, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off of bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save, up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
It's playoff time, and we've got a lot to talk about. This is Andrew Walker on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. Tune in after every playoff game for the Ritch Social Leadery postgame show. The Ritch is the new hotspot in St. Albert, and it's so good.
Work hard, get dirty, build better communities.
If that sounds like a good day's work to you, GS Construction wants you to be part of their team. Right now, GS Construction is looking to hire experienced top men and pipe layers for underground sewer and water work. So if you know your way around a trench, take pride in doing the job right, and want to be part of a crew that has your back, let's get to work together. Apply now at gsconstruction.ca.
With all the news about
To the Jason Gregor Show on
coming our way, you have to be
1440 orders.
strategic with your money. St. Albert
How
Dodge
are
knows
you?
that and has
Welcome.
some good news for
To the
you.
Jason.
Right now, all Ram 1500s are available with 0% financing for up to 72 months. So think about it. You can get into a brand new Ram 1500 right now at pre-tariff prices. While selection is still
Facebook
good
X
and
and,
pay zero interest on your financing. That keeps more money in your pocket. And that's how
Vegas
easy
and hey,
it
your
is
place
do
to watch
business
the
at St. Albert Dodge.
Game
A
on.
pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium one-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular price. The works, the meats. Pick your favorite specialty pizza and get even more delicious Papa John's to enjoy. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Don't miss the midweek showdown on Wednesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. Thestingers.ca.
All right.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's after 3 o'clock. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, sports1440.ca. Hope you are having an awesome day. Here's your chance. We're gonna give you an announcement. Here Comes the Sun is coming up. Your chance to qualify in about 25 minutes time. Okay, we got 3 days left for you to qualify. We'll do the draw next Friday. And you're going to win a $15,000 turnkey solar system for your home, courtesy of Action Electrical. So massive, massive prize pack. And that next chance is coming up around 3:40. So actually about 30 minutes time. Let's be more accurate. We would like accurate. I don't want to be the NHL and say, 25 for the broadcast, and that's another 15 minutes. So let's be honest. It's closer to 32 minutes to be precise. If you're a stickler for time. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. I got a lot of texts with you to get to. This one made me laugh. Hey, Gregor, I try to live a peaceful life, meditate, self-reflection. Then I listen to your show and hear an argument that Bouchard is in the similar category as Makar, and I become Rage Texter B. Thanks for that. Well, now, here's what I'm going to say. Is Cale Makar more consistent than Evan Bouchard? 100%. But if you look at their top-end game, which we've seen in the playoffs, the last 3 years in the postseason, Evan Bouchard, 5-on-5, he's plus 17. So no empty net goals, none of that other stuff, 5-on-5. He's plus 17. Cale Makar is plus 2. Evan Bouchard, and so now Bouchard's played more games, of course. But if you look at their goals against per 60, Bouchard's is lower. Then you look at their shot for percentage. You can look at expected goals. You can look at all the different numbers. In the playoffs, when it matters the most, Bouchard has produced more points and had better 5-on-5 numbers. Now, in the regular season, is Cale Makar flashier? Yes. Is he more consistent? 100%. But I understand the anger towards Bouchard comes from the big gaff. Is that fair? Connor, do you sense that's where most people's rage comes from, is the big gaff?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So we would agree Bouchard will make. Now, do you watch every game of Makar? He makes some gaffes, but he doesn't make as many as Bouchard. I think that's totally fair. But Bouchard does a lot of things well. Look at this series. Have any of you been yelling at your TV about Evan Bouchard once in this series? Can you think of a play where you're like, oh, God, Evan Bouchard was brutal on that play? Right? Because guess what? Even the best players are going to get beat sometimes. Drew Doughty, great defender. He got beat. Right? It happens every now and then. So, and the arbitrator, here's the thing. The arbitrator doesn't look at the emotional frustration that comes from a glaring mistake, because here's the thing. A glaring mistake can lead to a goal against. And he might make, and this year, Bouchard, I think the numbers were, there was 9, like glaring errors directly led to goals. Okay. But you know how many Cale Makar had? 7. So I think sometimes the team you watch the most, you kind of, and then you see the highlight reels. God, man, Cale Makar's on the highlight reel. This is unreal. Highlight reel. Right now, you don't see him as much on the giveaway highlight reels. That's valid. But 7 to 9, it's not a big difference. And Cale Makar will get paid more in his next contract than Evan Bouchard was going to get this summer. For a variety of reasons. Because he's more consistent, so he's better. Consistency will make you better. But when they're both playing well at a high end, the gap isn't as much as you think. Right? So I don't think it's as much. Hey, guys, what was the playoff plus minus of some of the older former players, McLeod, Fogle, etc.? Well, Shanko, I don't really look at plus minus. I also look more at 5-on-5, goals for and against, because plus minus can come into empty nets or even extra attacker goals that will alter it. And even then, like the other day, the Oilers scored a goal, and the defenseman changed. The Oilers were on the rush up the ice. The defenseman changed. He literally stepped on the ice, the Oilers score, and he gets the plus. Did he do anything? No. The guy actually got an assist, came off the ice because he did the outlet pass. I can't remember if it was Bouchard or if it was Klingberg, one of the other ones. They made a great outlet pass. They go to change. They get an assist on the play, but they don't get a plus because they had changed by the time the puck went in the net. So, sometimes you got to look deeper on it. Hey, would I take Cale Makar ahead with Evan Bouchard? Yes. But I don't think the gap is as cavernous as some people like to suggest. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's as cavernous. That's all. So we'll see. And the way Evan Bouchard's playing right now, hey, and here's the other thing. Like I know everyone says, wow, Evan Bouchard had Matthias Ekholm. Yeah, he does, but he doesn't have him now. But Cale Makar has Devon Taves, who's an Olympian. He's a pretty good partner, don't you think? Right now, is Evan Bouchard played with an Olympian as a partner in the playoffs this year? No. He still played pretty well. So, and keep, like, I look at Evan Bouchard, and he might never lose that nonchalance to his game because that's his personality. You're not going to ask someone to change. Evan Bouchard is one of the calmest people you will meet. Right? Talk to people. You know what? He gets a little fired up in the playoffs, but he's pretty calm all the time. And I'm not saying he's Makar. He's not Makar. But it's not like Cale Makar is like a 10 and Bouchard's a 5. Okay, the gap isn't that much. Right? Like, is Rasmus Dahlin clearly better than Evan Bouchard in your eyes? So you can't, and just because he's making 11.5, or what is it, 11.2, whatever the number is. Bouchard's camp might argue that, but there's other factors that go in, free agency, everything like that. So, in arbitration, though, they're going to look at Bouchard. They'll have comparables for sure. But there's not many guys that compare to the offensive numbers of Bouchard. I've talked to GMs and I've talked to agents. In arbitration, time on ice is a huge number. It's a huge number. So if the team tries to argue, wow, this guy isn't that good, the arbitrator's like, yeah, but you're playing him 24 minutes a night. He plays more minutes than anybody on your team. Are you insane? Because if you keep playing him, you can't think he's that bad. So, Evan Bouchard, I'm going to warn everybody. He's going to get $10 million. So just prepare yourself. Take a walk around the block if you have to, but it's happening, right? So it's happening. And that's how it's going to go. But right now, Bouchard, do you have any complaints about Evan Bouchard's game? I don't see so. So, hey, Gregor, a good tactic teams can use to weaken the competition is to offer sheet player to a contract that walks them right to free agency. Not necessarily to be successful offer sheet, but would put the team in a bad spot having to walk their star player. Players should be a lot more willing to do that to be a free agent as soon as possible. Sam from Vancouver. Potentially. Now, if you do an offer sheet of short term, right, then the number is way higher. And if you do an offer sheet of short term, you're still paying the compensation. Right now, 2 picks, a first and a second and all that stuff for a guy on 2-year deal. And then keep in mind that now you have to sign him if you want to keep him. So there is a risk too for a team to do that because you might only get a guy for a short term and you're giving up a lot of assets to do so. Now, in the case of Evan Bouchard, hey, if somebody offered him 9.5, well, I'm not sure he'd sign it, number one. So you have to think what's an offer sheet that he would be willing to sign? It's gonna start with a 10 anyway. And so then he looks and says, well, I'm probably going to get 10 in Edmonton anyway. And if they don't win the cup this summer, they're still damn close, right? Look at the orders. They're 1 win away of going to the Final Four again. They're a good team. Bouchard's a pretty good part of it. Draisaitl's locked up. I fully expect Connor McDavid to be locked up. Evan Bouchard's not going to go anywhere else. So if you're getting $10 million a year, does it really matter if one team wants to pay $500,000 more at that point? So instead of 80 million, you can get 84. Do you think that 84 million matters at all? So I don't think so. So you got to remember, the player has to sign the offer sheet. Right? Dylan Holloway signed it. Was more than what Edmonton was willing to pay him. They aired. Right? Broberg, I get why he did it. I thought Edmonton should have matched Holloway. I said that. In the case of Bouchard, if someone offers you 10, and the truth is, even though you don't have 10 from Edmonton on July, and I should clarify, he could in theory get an arbitration offer, get an offer sheet for 5 days because you have to file for arbitration before the 5th. So his camp could, if they wanted to, wait till the deadline and see from July 1st to July 4th if anybody's going to come in with an offer sheet. You could. But going back, a lot of the offer sheets sometimes come after free agency. So it's just you got a short window to make the offer sheet. And at that point, you're going to have negotiations. The order is Stan Bowman's hey, guys, we're willing to go here. All right, now we get an offer sheet from B. I just don't see it being that much. It's more about the arbitration case. Hey, Gregor, what if Bouchard got an offer sheet from tax-free downstate? I think that could be a huge factor. Greater Man. Well, we've looked that up again, too. And again, Greater Man, there's only no state tax, right? So the difference is about 13% of tax. That's what you're paying the difference, right? It's not like in Dallas, there's no tax. There's just no state tax. There's still the federal income tax. So look at Colorado to Dallas. People are like, oh, he wouldn't have got that in Colorado. Colorado only has a 4% state tax. Dallas has 0. He would have had to pay the exact same money for income tax. And then when he's on the road, he has to pay the entertainment tax. So he's going to have to pay that when he's in Colorado or in Dallas. It's only the no state tax there. So it's actually even lower. I've talked to Rich Winter about this. I've talked to other agents about it. To certain amount, I don't think that's the difference maker for people, right? First of all, Dallas won't do it because they've got all their money. Florida doesn't have the money to do it. Tampa Bay doesn't have the money to do it. So who's the no state tax that has the money to make the offer sheet? Right? Let's look at that. Who are they? It's not Dallas. They got all their money tied up in guys. It's not Florida. They just got Seth Jones. Right? They got some trouble on who they're going to sign. It's not Tampa Bay. They got all their big guys signed. So unless Tampa Bay is going to make another big trade and trade Victor Hedman, right, to bring in Bouchard like they did last year with got rid of Sergachev. So I don't see that. So And then you have to have I'd have to look to see, well, Tampa Bay definitely can't do it because they don't even have their first round pick. Because any offer sheet for Bouchard is going to be at least one, probably two, right? Because I think you could offer sheet him up to 11.7 and only pay 2 firsts and a second and a third, I think it is. And then anything above that would be 4 first rounders. You can be concerned about the offer sheet. I think it's honestly, I think it's wasted time on Bouchard. He's not, everybody knows he's getting 10 mil. So unless you want to jump up to like 14, I'm not sure a team's going to do it. Like Holloway, unreal. Even Broberg, they had room. Edmonton didn't have room for 4.6. The room for a $10 million offer sheet is a lot harder to find. What about Vegas, Greg's? Well, I'd have to look at Vegas's numbers quickly, but so I'm seeing, do they have anybody coming off the books? You know, they got Riley Smith, who's making nothing, Brandon Saad making nothing. On the back end, nobody. So I don't see where they're freeing up cap space. They don't have any cap space to make that. But now I know you can be over 10%. So in theory, they could do it and then, go out, but they'd have to make some significant other trades to make it happen. And would they want Bouchard to replace Alex Pietrangelo as their top pair right defenseman? Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his deal, but I'd be surprised. 320, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Cons, I'm going to say very slim chance. I'm going to say 100% chance if he doesn't have a contract, he'll go to arbitration. I think that's a no-brainer. I think an offer sheet is not a real concern, considering that, any sane contract is starting with 10 million. Like, you're dreaming if you think he's going to get less than 10 million based on his numbers.
The teams did you go through Nashville?
I did not use Nashville.
They have the space. I mean, obviously we saw they're trying to spend last year. So that team kind of popped into my mind potentially, but I don't know. I just feel like the Edmonton Oilers would match. It's, you don't want to set that precedent of continually losing players, although this was, quite a bit more than the guys last year. But Nashville was the one that popped up to me as a team that could do it. I think they have the draft picks, they have the cap space, and the no state income tax. So that'd be the only one that came to mind for me.
Yeah, but if you're Evan Bouchard,
yeah, why would you leave? Why would you go? You're in 2 cup finals potentially, like one of the best teams the last few years with the Oilers. If you want to win, and the money's just a little bit different, but you're paid an American, right?
Yeah, you're paid an American.
You're living in Canada.
And that's the other thing that everybody forgets about the no state tax. Evan Bouchard, people, lives in Canada, gets paid in American money. Okay? So his 10 million in Canada is basically, I got to do what was that, 12 and a half? So all that state tax gets negated by you being a Canadian living in Canada year round. It's squashed. So the argument is right out the window. Connor, thanks for reminding me. It actually puts it in a better hole, in a more positive one for you because of the rate, because it's 13% tax difference, right? Now do the exchange rate on the dollar. It's more than 13%. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, Alberta, the all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app, right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta, you know it's safe, secure, and reliable. Download it now and play over 500 online casino games, live dealer tables, and unique games you'll love. Plus, bet on sports from anywhere in the province. You in? Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and deposit using promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on the house. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Are you looking for safe and professional travel options? Look no further than Silent Rides, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. Whether your group is big or small, Silent Rides has you covered. We offer state-of-the-art motor coaches, first-class service, and affordable rates. Get your quote today. For more information, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood-burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebans.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebans.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.326. Wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. It is the Jason Gregor Show coming to you live at On the Rocks, Jasper Ave, and 118th Street. Your place to watch the game tonight. It is Wing Wednesday. It's also karaoke night. Whoa, imagine the party after an Oilers victory at OTR on a Wednesday. Pace yourselves, take an Uber or a Lyft, whatever it is, or a cab. Just get home safe. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. I love Play Alberta. We might have to talk to them. Should put out a line. What do you think that Bouchard would get an offer sheet? I'd say it's pretty low, because I mentioned there's only a 4-day opportunity, because he's not bypassing arbitration. 0 chance. And he has to file for arbitration by the 5th. So, and who knows, maybe he does it sooner, but usually they file it right at the end, and that's fine. Now, the Oilers could easily sign him to a contract before then. But, and the other thing is, like, the offer sheet would have to be so much higher. I just see the Oilers, I see them matching it. I don't see how they wouldn't in a worst case scenario, but honestly, I don't think, I know it's fresh in everyone's mind because of last season, but when did the offer sheets happen last year? Mid-August? I'd have to even look. When did the Oilers offer sheet Dustin Penner? Was it in the first few days of free agency? I'm trying to think, like, have any offer sheets happened in the first few days of free agency? Cons, I might want to get you to look that up, because I think Penner was like mid-July, right? I think the offer sheet came in like the 19th or 20th, if my memory is correct. So somewhere around there. But Cons, you look it up. I'm trying to think. Actually, you know what, Cons? Look it up, the history of offer sheets. Have any of them happened in the first 4 days of July? because that's when they'd have to happen. Otherwise, Bouchard's filing for arbitration.
If I go back, looks like Penner signed his offer sheet on July 26th. 07.
Yeah. July 26th. Okay. So, but go through the history of the NHL for offer sheets and see if any of them came in on before that, like July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I'd just be curious. Now, let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. They are Canada's #1 Volvo dealership in new sales. 13-time winner of Excellence Award in service and sales. Unbelievable service at Volvo. You get a great vehicle, that's great. But more importantly is how they treat you after you have the vehicle. That's why they have so many lifetime customers at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation Face Off joins us. Ty, how you doing?
I'm good, and I got some answers for you on the offer sheets. I was listening along, so I did some Googling. Sebastian Aho was on July 1st, 2019. Shea Weber was July 18th. Hjalmarsson was July 9th. Steve Bernier was July 8th. And David Backes was also July 1. The Oilers did the Thomas Vanek offer sheet on July 6th.
Okay, so only 2 of those would have fallen before the arbitration deadline. And there's no chance Bouchard's not going to file for arbitration, right? Like that would just make no sense. And the Sebastian Aho, probably the worst offer sheet in the history of the NHL. Carolina was sprinting to sign that. They're like, oh my God, thank you, Montreal. Like that was the worst. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? Now the only thing that made it worse, I guess, the only time it was bad was because then Carolina's owner got petty and said, well, you know what? I'm going to go after Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And that offer sheet has still sucked for Carolina many years later. They've never got value on his contract to date. Not a bad player. He's just never lived up to his contract.
Yeah, Liam and I were kind of laughing the other day when we were doing this whole debate. It's like, can you imagine if Bouchard accepted an offer sheet of like 8 years, $9 million from another team, and the Oilers were just like, oh, you just did all the hard work for us? Well, thank you very much. Yes, auto match on that one. But I don't see much of a threat.
No, I don't. There's only a 4-day window if they don't even sign it beforehand. And like right now, today, $10 million is the minimum. Oilers know it. They know they're paying $10 million for Evan Bouchard. Like all of his numbers say he's a $10 million defenseman. I know people can focus on the lackadaisical play at time. So what? Those plays you remember more, but they're actually incredibly small percentage of his overall play.
Yeah, totally. The line I kind of said was, if you pay Evan Bouchard $10 million, you know what? There might be 10 games during the regular season where you go, God, he played bad, and why'd we pay him all that money? But there's also probably going to be 10 playoff games where you're sitting there going, man, thank God he's on our team. Thank God we have that guy. And you know what? I'll take the 10 unbelievable playoff games, which he always delivers. This is now the 3rd straight postseason where he's been great in the playoffs. I'll take the 10 great playoff games, and I'll live with the 10 poor regular season games as a trade-off.
So here's my question. I don't debate that Cale Makar is a better player because he's more consistent. But if you look at the last 3 playoffs, Evan Bouchard better than Cale Makar in the playoffs?
I don't understand how there would be an argument against that. I mean, look at the game winners alone. Like Evan Bouchard has put up more clutch points than Cale Makar, more clutch goals. He's got a bunch of OT winners under his belt. And then how about let's look at what's been happening over the last, call it 10 days here. The Oilers are using him on the PK, and his goals against for 60 is all of a sudden better than every other defenseman they're using on the penalty kill. So, I mean, he's adding another layer sort of into his game here, helping the Oilers on the other side of the special teams coin. Like, as much as he has elevated each of the past 2 playoffs, and, you know, maybe it's because of the contrast of how he looked in this regular season compared to now, but I feel like this playoff run here through a round and a bit now, I feel like this is Bouchard taking another step towards being an elite defenseman.
100%. Like, Evan Bouchard has shown at the most important time of the year, he can elevate his game. That's what he's shown now 3 years in a row in the playoffs. And no one can argue that. You can say that in November, Bouchard's going to skate nonchalantly, looking like Gregor in men's league, back to the puck, and it's going to piss you off. That's valid. But in the playoffs, have you seen it? Bouchard had the 2 giveaways in game 1 against LA, and really since then, and the whole team sucked that game. It wasn't just him. Since then, I can't really recall one play where you're just like, oh my God, like there's guys are going to get beat, but nothing that stood out to me negative from Bouchard. It's more being positive.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? There's an overlap of people. I'll throw some shade at my boy Jay Downton here. The same people who are like, Bouchard can't get the big money. Look at what he does. He's so bad in the regular season. They're the same people who will sit there. And I know it's because the dollar values are different, but like Matthias Janmark can score 2 goals all year, but those same people will go, wait till you see what he does in the playoffs. And Evander Kane, when he struggles in the regular season, granted, when he played in the regular season, it was like, oh, but you want him in the playoffs. You want him in the playoffs. And it's so funny that even back to the Zach Kassian days, when it's a gritty, hard-nosed forward, you're willing to some people are willing to totally excuse a bad regular season because it's like, well, look what you get in the playoffs. But with Bouchard, it's like, nope, can't do that. Like, again, all he does is elevate in the postseason.
The Oilers are a team that really elevates later in a series. Under Chris Knobloch, they are 15-2 in games 4-7. They're 4-1 when they have a chance to eliminate a team. The only loss came in game 7 when both teams had a chance to eliminate each other in the Stanley Cup final last year. What do you make of the Oilers and kind of that killer instinct? And the adjustments later on in the series have clearly gone in favor of Edmonton.
Yeah, I think Chris Knobloch deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think the leadership in the room deserves a lot of credit for that. This is no longer, a young group of Oilers players who are just seeing things for the first time. Like, they've been through multiple playoff runs now. And when they have a chance to put the pedal to the floor and finish the job on a team, they basically always do it. Like you said, 6-0 when they have a chance, or when they're ahead in the series and have a chance to eliminate another team. Like, we're on the 3rd straight playoff run here where the Oilers have never blown a series lead. And whatever, if you want me to knock on wood from an Oilers perspective, sure. But like, I don't think that's just a fluke. I don't think that's just a coincidence. I think this is a team that knows when the pressure is at its most, they know how to kind of stay within themselves. And Chris Knobloch, yes, makes a ton of great adjustments, but they also have a group that knows how to win now, which I know is kind of funny because they've never won a Stanley Cup, whatever. But like, they've proven that in these games, they know exactly what they're doing. I even look back to last game as kind of another example of this. Like, there would have been every reason to, maybe be rattled or on your heels and be like, oh man, that 0.4 seconds. Like, did we just let our best chance in this series slip away? But what do? They find the back of the net 90 seconds in, and then they play what I think was probably their second most complete game of these playoffs, next to game 5 against the LA Kings. So again, at every turn here, they're showing showing that they are a really, really mature group.
Yeah, very much so. And the D pairs last game, Paul Coffey, they reinsert Troy Stetcher in the lineup, and they basically keep their pairings together most of the game. Nurse played the most minutes 5-on-5. Stetcher played the 4th most minutes. You had the Wahlberg and Klingberg pairing 5 and 6, so they played together a lot. But they actually played against Jack Eichel. That's what's interesting. Klingberg and Wallman played the most minutes against Eichel, followed by Nurse and Stetcher. And Bouchard played the most against Carlson because he plays the most with Connor McDavid. And, you look at their pairings right now, like the Jack Eichel line, as good of a job as Leon Draisaitl did. The defense in their quote, second and third pairings, I'm not sure they have a real clear number 1 pair right now, but their second and third pairs, they didn't look overwhelmed at all. That's what's Edmonton's depth right now across the board, is the coach is very comfortable in any situation, putting out any line.
Yeah, and even like the Wallman-Klingberg pairing, as you were saying, there's a little part of me still that when I watch them, I think they're a bit of a heart attack pairing. A lot of times where they're starting in the O-zone, the play gets flipped, they're maybe a little shaky off the rush, but like then you look at the numbers at the end of every game and it's like, okay, well, they prevent chances, they don't bleed any, like they're good together. Even if they look a little bit wonky to me with just the eye test, the numbers are always getting a passing grade. So I think this is the best combination of defensemen for right now. That isn't to say that Ty Emberson down the line next season, whatever, isn't going to be a good NHL defenseman, but in the moment, the numbers with Stetcher and Nurse, Troy Stetcher is somehow like the Darnell Nurse whisperer here. Their numbers are great together. And that other pairing, Klingberg-Wallman, they're surviving. And even Kulak-Bouchard, I think having Bouchard away from Nurse is really, really important. I was looking at the 5v5 numbers today with Darnell Nurse. The two of them, they were on the ice for 8 goals against in 85-on-5 minutes. Compare that to Bouchard away from Darnell Nurse, just 5 goals against in 121 minutes. That's a massive, massive difference. I think this layout of 6 D-men is perfect. And I mean, win or lose tonight, I wouldn't be changing it up going forward.
No. They might get Ekholm back maybe mid to late 3rd round. We'll see. Obviously, when he comes back, Stetcher comes in, and then we'll see. Like maybe Ekholm comes in, though, and starts with Wallman just to see where he's at rather than reinsert him and play him 22 minutes a night right away. So it's a good problem to have. Mark Stone is out for Vegas, it sounds like, tonight, Ty. So what do you think Cassidy does? So in game 4, Draisaitl got the matchup, and Eichel didn't do much 5-on-5, really. Like the one chance he had was on a power play. The Karlsson line had McDavid, and they did okay. Do you think he goes with that because he has last change, or does he go back to Eichel versus McDavid?
I think he'll go back to Eichel versus McDavid. I also think this is going to be a game where we'll see Cassidy just sort of empty the clip minutes-wise on a lot of these guys. Like just looking back at the game log or the game sheet from the last game at 5-on-5, like Eichel played 13-10, Barbashev played 13-15, but like the second line was right around 12 minutes at 5-on-5 as well. The third line was right around 10 minutes at 5-on-5. Like I think this could be a game where they maybe go, because it's Cole Schwindt coming in, I believe, if Mark Stone is indeed going to be out. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get a bit of an 11-7-ish approach here where Cole Schwindt doesn't play a ton and they try to load up a wing pair in the bottom 6 and rotate Eichel through a little bit more just to get him on the ice a bunch. Like, again, this should be the Hail Mary 2-minute drill, whatever football analogy you want to use. Like, they should be pulling out every trick they have here to win this hockey game. And I wouldn't be surprised if it means a really, really increased workload for Jack Eichel, not so much just trying to expose him in one specific matchup.
Yeah, that's fair. They're probably going to play him a ton. Vegas, they look slower. I think because they are slower, right? They're probably nicked up here. Pietrangelo, like the Oilers have been targeting him. There's no question. He hasn't looked very comfortable in this series at all. Edmonton has shown a real good killer instinct as of late. And, right now, like, the Evander Kane, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown line, like they're a force.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this conversation today on my show with Bruce Kurlock, who is much smarter than I am. And I kind of said, like, hey, would you at all consider, with how good Evander Kane looks, would you consider maybe putting him next to Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl on like some amount of a full-time basis here? Because when you look at his minutes, he spent a lot of time with the Nugent-Hyman line. And then when they broke that up, he's down on the third line like he is now. And he really hasn't had like a regular shift or a game where he started with one of 29 or 97, I think, since maybe the first game of the LA series or second game of the LA series. So I was curious, like, would it maybe be a good idea to elevate Kane a little bit and ride the hot hand? But the other side of it is, if he's giving you this good of minutes down on that third line, why mess with it, right? Like, it's the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of deal. And if that third line can expose some lesser matchups, because the Golden Knights are playing their best players against Connor and Leon tonight, that third line gets a gravy matchup. Kane showed last game, that whole line showed last game, that they can absolutely take advantage of it and be difference makers. Like, Kane was the only Oiler on the ice for all 3 goals.
Do you think the Oilers are going to be in the crease a lot tonight?
They'd be stupid not to, right? Like, I mean, never mind the obvious moments from last game with the interactions with Hyman and the Janmark thing. And there were the 3-4 plays where Hyman got slashed, McDavid got slashed. Like, if anyone got even close to the blue paint early on in that hockey game, Aiden Hill was whacking him, trying to take a chunk out of him, whatever you want to say. And listen, I think that's a sign of a goalie who is not mentally totally in the game. If you're more worried about where a guy's skating in front of you and how close he's getting to you, then your focus isn't where it needs to be. So I think the Oilers would be foolish to not have their feet right on the edge of that blue paint every chance they get. Take an extra jab after the whistle. Like, is it ugly? Is it a little greasy? Sure, but it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. You need to be a little ugly and greasy sometimes to get through these series. So I fully expect Edmonton to be right in Aiden Hill's kitchen again. And again, with the officials too, they review tape. They know what they're doing coming into every game. If you're sitting there and you're watching Hill dump Hyman and then stick out the little bit of a leg on Matthias Janmark to draw a call, then the way he jumped into that fray with Evander Kane, even though Kane got pushed in, like, if I'm an official tonight, they're probably keeping a pretty close eye on Aiden Hill, being like, okay, they might have fooled that last crew, but we're not going to let them fool us or embarrass us tonight.
Yeah, it's possible. To me, the most interesting thing about the game would be, do the Oilers actually end up with more power play chances? It's been 10 games. They've only generated 22 power play chances through the first 10 games, compared to 35 last year. Now, last year they had the second most through 10 games of all the 8 teams left. This year they've got the fewest by a large margin. It is interesting because the power play opportunities per game for the top 8 teams, or the 8 teams left this year through 10 games, is exactly the same, 3.05 last year to this year. But the Oilers are down significantly. And now I haven't seen an egregious amount of blatant missed calls against them tonight. I've seen a few. I don't think I've seen 13, because they've had 13 fewer power plays, right? I think LA took some dumb penalties last year in the first round, if you recall. But I do think there's been a few, and it is odd how few opportunities they're having. And I think that it probably overshadows that their power play has been okay, except on the road. It's been awful. So my question to you, Ty, A, do the Oilers get more power plays? B, do they score their first power play road goal of the playoffs?
Yeah, just to follow up another stat on that, I'm looking at the game logs here and the net penalty differential, which includes majors and things like that. But they have not had more power plays than their opposition once in these playoffs. Like it's -3. Some games where they're even, a couple -1s in this series, but it has been a plus number for the Oilers. It's Dan O'Rourke and Francois St. Laurent tonight. And I'm going to say that for once, Edmonton does buck that trend here, and they're going to get some power plays. I'm reading the scouting the refs report right now on these two, and neither one feels like they're all that afraid to give out a decent amount of power plays in a game. Both guys north of 6. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot of power plays tonight. And you know what? Listen, with Edmonton's power play, as much as it's maybe a little concerning it's been so cold on the road, looking into some of the numbers, I do think a part of that is just bad luck. And what we know about McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard in the playoffs is that they're kind of just inevitable. Like, you're not going to keep them this cold on the road for that long. I think the Oilers stars are due for a really, really big performance, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it stems from the power play.
Ty, who do you think Carolina, Dallas are in a similar boat as Edmonton? I think all three teams are going to get in, but who do you like in Florida and Toronto, best of 3?
There's a part of me that kind of wants to go with the Leafs in this one. Like, they looked so good in those first 2 games on home ice. It's now a series that's down to the final 3 games where 2 of them are going to be in Toronto. I'm not a massive believer in the idea that momentum rolls over, especially when you're going into a new city. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Maple Leafs get a big win tonight, and they don't miss on one of their 2 cracks over the weekend to eliminate the Panthers. So why not make it Toronto's year a little bit? It would only add to the spiciness of the conference finals if both Edmonton and Toronto are still playing.
Awesome. Ty, have yourself an awesome day, and we will chat with you tomorrow on The Rundown.
Sounds good. See you, Greg.
There you go. That's Tyler Remchuk from Motors Nation and Daily Face-Off will return. Here comes the sun. Actually, you know what? We'll do it right now. Your chance to win a $15,000 turnkey solar system for your home. Unreal. Courtesy of Action Electrical. Now, a few things. You need to be a homeowner. You need to live or reside in the 50-kilometer radius of Edmonton. Or you could gift it to somebody who lives there, because there is an option to take it yourself or gift it. Also, shingles, 12 years or newer, simply because if they're older than that, this system lasts so long, that's going to cost you way more money to have to replace your shingles and take off the solar system, because obviously it goes on your roof. It's not going in your basement. So today, very simple way for you to enter and qualify. You're going to text in your name and the correct answer to if we tried it today, we'll make it pretty easy. It's game day. We'll make it very easy. Can you tell us which Oiler defenseman leads them with 4 goals this playoffs? I think you should know the answer. We've only been talking about him for an hour. 833-401-1440. Your name and the name of the Oilers defenseman who currently has 4 playoff goals. We'll return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
They are late, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take 1 for Gene Principe. Hey, thanks for being on time.
I'm always punctual. Now, how about some cool beats while I drop the heat?
Ready when you are.
Tall legacy, tall legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for AC season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike Legacy, I never know when to cool it.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk, family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot. And Molson Canadians for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref. That ain't hard, is it? And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocks.com.
Time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker, and join us for the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Cross Mitsubishi on 34th Ave and 96th Street.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Legend has foretold of a smoothie so delicious and refreshing that it could quench the thirst of a fire-breathing dragon.
But it's also a great pick-me-up after a workout. The new Dragon Slayer smoothie from Booster Juice, a legendary blend of dragon fruit and mangoes, destined to be your next obsession. Try it today along with the new Dragon Booster Ball and the Pink Dragon Booster Mixer.
3 epic menu items to conquer your cravings. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Your cooperator's advisor can help your business do what you want it to. Like we have 2, actually 3, make that 4 locations plan. Talk to a local advisor today about small business insurance that sees your needs as anything but small.
Looking for a local cooperator's advisor? Give Camrose Insurance Financial Solutions a call at 780-672-9251 and see the difference a personalized plan makes. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
The month of May brings machines, mud, and for us, many an opportunity. We're GS Construction, and we love the warmer weather because it means we can get to work. But to keep things moving, we need the right people on our team. You built your skills. You know your work matters. Now's the time to bring that experience to a crew that gets it. We're hiring experienced top men and pipe layers. So if you're ready to dig in and be part of a team that has your back, apply now at gsconstruction.ca for this great opportunity.
It's playoff time. Let's go. From pre- and post-game shows to analysis from Kevin, Lowside, and Jason. This is going to be a fun run. For all things hockey, lock it in to Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
Hat-tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
352. Welcome back. Game Day, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, sports1440.ca. Coming to you live and on the rocks. Jasper Ave and 118th Street, your place to watch the game tonight, man. There's big screens. They even roll out a few extra big screens. Got over 27 TVs in here. It's Wing Wednesday. You got drink specials all throughout the game. It's a fantastic place to watch the game. They play a lot of games, too, with the DJ at intermission, so you win prizes, GCs. Dr. Wang, obviously very hospitable for you as well. So stop in, watch the game. And it is karaoke night after. So imagine the Orders win tonight. Some of you will be going into work a little bit later or a little bit foggier. But it'll be worth it because then you'll have a few days off because the Orders win tonight. Now, I guess if Dallas and defeats Winnipeg tomorrow, there's a chance their series could start Sunday. Slim chance. So you're probably going to have a weekend off from Orders playoffs again. Now let's get to our qualifier for Here Comes the Sun, courtesy of Action Electrical, a $15,000 turnkey solar system for your home. Now you can keep it or you can gift it. You need to be a homeowner, reside within 50 kilometers of Edmonton, and shingles on your house are 12 years or newer. And today our lucky contestant is Robert, who knew that the correct answer was, of course, Evan Bouchard, who leads the Orders with 4 playoff goals amongst their defensemen. Thus far, Darnell Nurse has 2. Wallman has 1. And actually, it's Kevin. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Cons is just throwing names at me all over the place, but it's Kevin. Congratulations, Kev. Well, what's your thoughts? What's your feelings tonight for the Orders?
4-2 Oil. McDavid 3 points. And Bouchard gets 2 power play points. I'll add that sweetener in there.
Oh, so the Orders power play shows a pulse on the road. That's a good odd bet that eventually their power play you would think would get a goal in their 6th road playoff game. They're excellent at home and 0 on the road. Kev, would you keep this unreal package or would you gift it?
I would keep it. We're moving into a new house next month, and this would look great. Well, it doesn't exactly look great on the roof, but my bills every month would look a little bit better.
You know what? My neighbors have it. They don't really even notice it. Quite a few of them have it. It's actually, we had it at the farm. After a while, it just kind of looks normal. I get the reflection. It's not bad at all. So we'll stay on the line. Connor Halley got all your information. There's one final little email step to get you in, and then we'll do the draw next Friday. So be listening in the 4 o'clock hour. If your name is called, you'll be winning a $15,000 solar system, courtesy of actionelectrical.net.
Right on. Thanks a lot.
There you go. Awesome. A lot of text line in 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, if someone offered him 11.5, I would take the 2 first-rounders and the picks. They could use those as trade pieces. The cap space he'll spend on his replacement, another D-man, but a different type, from Phil. Okay. Ask Colorado how that's going. Right? Evan Bouchard is an elite defender. That's just a fact. He's an elite offensive defender for sure. And as we're seeing in the playoffs, when the games matter, he's a pretty good defensive defender. But he's elite offensively. And when you say, you find his replacement, different type. Well, Matthias Ekholm's getting older. Where are you going to, which teams are just willing to give you away? Well, hey, you know what? We'll trade you this guy for 2 draft picks. Yeah. I think it's wishful thinking, to be honest. And if the guy's that good, how much are you saving in cap space anyway? So you're going to save, what, $2 million on the hope you can find another D-man? That's a pretty big risk. I'd be stunned. The Orders aren't doing it. Let's just call a spade here. The organization values Evan Bouchard more than the detractors. That's just a fact. And the stats and the results show that the organization is correct on this. You can be upset about Bouchard, and that's fine. It's totally your entitlement as a fan. But I'm telling you, he is, when you watch him in the playoffs, there's always, wow, it was Matthias Ekholm he was playing with. Oh, he's playing with McDavid. Oh, that helps. Sure. Well, they got no Matthias Ekholm this year. So that's one less thing to use as a counter argument to it. But his production's still there. His defensive play is really good. So, what's going to be the excuse this year? Someone will try to find one. But I'm telling you, there's not going to be one. Bouchard's going to get big money. It's just a matter of how big is it going to be. And, the Orders, they'll have time. An offer sheet would have to happen in the first 4 days of July. Possible, sure. And it's going to have to happen to a team who owns. So if they offer him 11.7, they'd have to give up 2 firsts, a second, and a third. They'd have to have all those picks. And if they offer him 11.71 million or higher, then it would have to be 4 first rounders. And the only way, like if Edmonton, if it's 11.7, Edmonton will be like, yeah, we'll pay 11.7. We'll do it because whatever, he's a little bit higher than maybe they would like, but they'll do it anyway. You would have to offer sheet him for 13 mil, I think. Maybe 12.5 for have Edmonton walk. And I don't see a team doing that. So that's why I think the offer sheet will be, people will talk about it, gets everybody fired up. But I'd be very surprised it happened because it's that high of a number. Now, if teams want to go offer sheet guys at the rate you did Phil Broberg's and Holloway's where the compensation is way less, and you're like, hey, man, they can play into it. Both those guys were good value. Well, excellent value for Holloway. You do it. I think the higher it gets, the harder it gets, right, when it comes to an offer sheet. I just don't see it happening. And then arbitration hits. There's no way he's not going to fall for arbitration. And then away they go because he's got a good case for some good money in arbitration. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We did pre-tape again. We got Ron Hextall, former NHLer, former NHL assistant GM, director of pro scouting, NHL general manager. And we'll talk about the business of sport and the management and what goes on non-playoff teams right now, building a playoff team. He was part of the Kings and more. When we return live at On the Rocks, Jasper Ave 118th. Here's the Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month continues on now. Where you can get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on a 2025 Sierra HD model. Learn more at gmccanada.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day, Oilers and Golden Knights down in Vegas. Oilers, of course, on top in the series, 3-1. Puck drop just after 7:30. Pre-game coverage with Walker and Paulson gets going at 6 right here on Sports 1440. One other game tonight, just over an hour away. Panthers and Maple Leafs meeting in Toronto. That series tied to 2 games apiece. In the association, Celtics up against the Knicks at 5 with a chance to end this one as the Knicks lead 3-1. And at 7:30, Warriors and Timberwolves meeting in Minneapolis. In the majors, Toronto in action once again tonight, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Out in Toronto, a couple games going on right now. Diamondbacks have an 8-4 lead over the Giants in the 7th, and in the 8th, Twins on top of the Orioles 8-6. Bottom of the 6th, out in Seattle, the Mariners lead the Yankees 2-1. In the PWHL tonight, you got playoff action. Game number 4, Toronto, Minnesota. The Frost can wrap this one up, leading 2-1. And at 8 o'clock in the dub, Medicine Hat taking on Spokane. Tigers lead that series 2-1. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's another edition of Business of Sport with Ritch Winter, as Jason Gregor and Ritch will be joined by former NHLer Ron Hextall. I'm Connor Halley. It's been a Sports 1440 update.
1440 Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Oodle Noodle Origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
At Fountain Tire, we're all about one thing, taking care of your vehicle. Oh, and your wallet. I guess that's 2 things. Save up to 20% off select tires until June 14th. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen and available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 460 170 horsepower, plus the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Back Wednesday afternoon on the Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it's a Game 5 tonight. Oilers with a chance to eliminate the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll get to all of that in a bit. But, of course, it's time for another edition of the Business of Sports as we welcome in Ritch Winter, our co-host. Ritch, how you doing, my man?
Good today, Jason. Really good. Thanks.
Really? Well, yeah. Are you okay? You have a nap? We just wake up. We'll get your energy levels up.
Nap, because before we introduce Ron, my wife still tells the story how she and Diane had to go to the mall when Ron was having his pregame nap, and that's probably her best recollection of Ron. I don't know why.
Awesome. Well, our guest today, of course, is Ron Hextall, a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, longtime NHL netminder, and was in NHL management for 24 years. From 1999 through until 2003 with the Kings and the Flyers and the Penguins. And Ron, welcome to the Business of Sports. How you doing?
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm doing great.
Well, we'll get Ritch was talking before we got on air about how in great shape you are, and you laughed and you said you're recovering from an Achilles tail. You're another victim of that ultra competitive sport called pickleball.
Yeah. My surgeon, I said to him, I guess I won't play pickleball. He said, oh, no, I'd be out of business if people didn't play pickleball. So I don't know if I'll go back to it or not, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, an Achilles tear, like that is no joke, man. That's a tough surgery and rehab.
Yeah, the first month wasn't a whole lot of fun. You get a
go ahead, Ron.
They put a cast on, and all of a sudden my foot swells up. So I was in excruciating pain for a couple weeks, and I actually had to take a couple painkillers, which I don't like to do, but it's not a fun thing. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Have you seen the clip of Kobe Bryant ripping his Achilles in half, then taking 2 foul shots and walking off the court?
I have not. I'll have to look that up.
Well, it's like, how is that possible? You've experienced it. How is that even possible?
Yeah, no, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. Ron, today we're going to talk a lot about your career, but I want to talk, the business of sport. You were in management for a long time. You were assistant GM when you won cups in LA, and then of course became a GM. And, we're down to, there's 8 teams left in the NHL playoffs. So the other 24 teams right now, what exactly is going on here when you're in the middle of May from an assistant GM role? What's an assistant GM doing on a non-playoff team right now? Is this where you get to relax, or is this where, you put the pedal to the metal?
No, everybody's roles are different as assistant GM, but you're doing things behind the scenes. You're preparing for next year. You're preparing for the draft, free agency, trades, contracts. It doesn't stop nowadays. It's pretty much, if there's a downtime, it's maybe after development camp from mid-July till mid-August or so. But even then, there's always something to do, arbitration cases and whatnot. So it's pretty much 12 months for management nowadays.
When you go back and you talk about the arbitration cases, because I know every organization, there's different responsibilities, right? It's not like the GM negotiates every contract and, talks to everybody. There's just not enough time to do it. So when you prepared arbitration cases, like, do you go through every guy who you kind of study and say, we think this guy will file for arbitration? Or do you do it for everybody who's potentially an arbitration case in your organization?
Well, you tend to have a sense of who has a good case and who doesn't. So you have an idea going in who may file or the team may want to file on, player X. So you have a good idea, and you hire a lawyer to do a lot of the behind the scenes work and the comparables and stuff. So, but it's one of those things that takes you into August, and it takes a lot of time.
It's funny at arbitration, like I have a policy, Ron. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have the player and I take the GM out for dinner the night before arbitration all the time, which I think helps smooth it over and make it a little less confrontational. But we always play a little bit of a game. The player and I going in predict when the GM is going to mention the contract negotiations. And the best guy ever at it was Lou Lamoriello. Lou actually waited until we were at the valet and our car was coming, and he just turned to me and said, you don't want to talk about it? I thought that was patience. But it's a good process because I think it just helps you feel better. You're going into arbitration more like a business meeting, and it's not for confrontation. I remember when Tommy Sala went and he was in tears. It was in the old days, it was nuts,
Yeah. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I think negotiations have changed a lot. Ritch, you know that. You've been around a long time. I mean, they used to be there was typically certain cases, a lot of fighting, a lot of back and forth, a lot of hurt feelings. Nowadays, it's a much nicer process than it used to be. I mean, arbitration is still not a great process for the player. Sometimes a player hears bad things about himself for the first time, and some guys are good with it, and other guys, they understand what's going on, and other guys get really hurt by it. So it's not something you necessarily ever want to do as a team, take your player through arbitration. I've always wanted to settle. Guys that I've been with have always wanted to settle, but sometimes there's no way to settle, and you got to go through with it.
And I think things have changed, Ron, because now that there's a salary cap, in the old days, Ed Schneider would say, I have no more money. Or I have a budget. And of course, none of us believe that. But now there's a cap, and someone says to you, I got 900 left. You go, geez, he has 900 left. And you speak of interesting conversations or negotiations. Our first one was probably one for the ages, which we probably should leave alone.
Yes, it was.
I still remember walking out of the meeting, and it was 3-0 for New Jersey, and there was 2 bad goals. It couldn't have been scripted any better,
Yeah, I do remember that, right? Rittenhouse Square there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the old days where, there were battles. And, as an organization, you also owned a player till he was 31 years old.
Yes, that's right.
So it was a big difference versus now, 7 years or 27 years old. So times were different. Again, much more cordial now. And you kind of have to be as a GM. You don't want agents to necessarily hate you, and I'm sure an agent the same.
Well, and I think it's
back then the landscape was different.
Well, back then we were renegotiating, which is something that's not even you can't do anymore, and that created an interesting wrinkle. But I would say Ron's performance in that meeting with Ed Schneider was one of his better games.
So Ron, when you retired, you went in right to scouting, and you were one who really worked his way up to become a GM, right? You started as a pro scout, then you became the director of pro player personnel with the Flyers. Then eventually you moved to LA. But I want to take back to, because in the business of sport, there's lots of different roles that people can have. And, lots of people are like, hey, I'd love to be a GM. There's only 32 of them now. And so it's pretty hard to be one, obviously. But how important was it for you? Like, do you feel, hey, to be at the top of the business, you got to understand the bottom and you get in to the pro side? And why did you gravitate more to pro than maybe amateur scouting to start?
It was just sort of the way it worked out. When I was done, Bob Clark was the GM there, and he asked me kind of what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to go into coaching or the management side. And I said, I much prefer the management side. Therefore, I went into the pro scouting, and then eventually started to learn, go into the amateur meetings and learn a little bit about the amateur side. So I felt like and then I went to LA as assistant GM, and I felt like it's almost like you're getting educated along the way. I was a player, 15 years, you get education, there. And then you move into scouting, you learn about the scouting and what to look for and upside and, downside, and watch older players age and younger players get better. And there's so much to learn. So I felt like the way that I came up was the proper way.
And so when you were in Philly and you were there for 7 years, then you left to LA to become the VP and the assistant GM. How does that work? Like, did you go to Philly and say, hey, I've got this opportunity. Do you guys want to match it? How did that work?
Well, Dean Lombardi got the job in LA, and Dean was working for us in Philly there. So we got to know each other. And when he got the job, he gave me a call and asked if I had any interest. And I was like, geez, yeah, I do. But I got 4 kids and I've been in Philly a long time. That was the toughest decision that I ever made. But I went into Bob Clark's office and Paul Holmgren and just told them that I wanted to look at this opportunity. And they did try to talk me out of it, offered me co-assistant GM at the time. I just felt like that would be more of the same in terms of what I was doing.
Right.
And, Dean was a different type of he had a different type of a mind. He was a deep thinker. He was very analytical. And I felt like getting out of Philly, I would learn a lot as a hockey guy. And I did. I mean, things were totally different in LA than the way they were run in Philly. Not that one was necessarily better than the other, but it was just different. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in my 7 years in LA, and obviously we won a cup. So in the end, it was a good decision, but it was a tough one. I mean, like I said, I had 4 kids and pretty well rooted in the Philly area. And again, it was a tough one.
Now, when
Ron, I think, sorry, Jason, it's like, I think something people don't, players don't really understand, players who want to go into coaching, right? I think that, tell us about the experience you've had with coaches, because I don't think people understand. They're in the office at 7 o'clock. They're going home at 7 o'clock. They're living this because I think for the most part, many of them are a little bit, concerned about their future and their stability there. I mean, tell us like what it's like to watch and the intense work that these guys put in every day. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just preparing for a meeting. Most coaches meet with their team, if not every day, close to every day. And you've got to prepare for that meeting. I mean, if a coach isn't prepared for a meeting with video and whatnot, players, they're not going to have a whole lot of respect for them. So they are in early. Some of them work after the game. They start after the game, and then they pick it up early in the morning. And then they got to be ready for a 10 o'clock or 9:30 meeting with the players. So they put in a ton of time. And I think it's evolved. I mean, back in the old days, it was different. Guys would go golfing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of that anymore. I mean, it's a very competitive business, and most people are doing it now. So, it's similar with GMs and assistant GMs. I mean, the workload is heavy. It's a lot, and you've got to love what you're doing, which most guys do, or you wouldn't be in it. When you're working a lot of weekends, you're working a lot of nights. It takes you away from your family a lot. So, I mean, there's some downside, but I will say, and I spent almost 40 years in hockey, and there wasn't a day go by that I didn't feel very fortunate to be working or playing in the NHL.
So, Ron, when you mentioned that LA and Philly were different, not better, just different, what was the biggest difference that you noticed right away and that allowed you to grow in the management role?
Just a lot more analytical. I mean, a lot more studying, just more in depth, and I think that was where the game was going at that time. It was pretty simplistic at the time. Again, you owned players till they were 31, and then all of a sudden things changed, and then salary cap came in. Things just got a lot more complicated. So you had to really grow with the times. And Dean was obviously a very intelligent guy, but very, very into learning and, something new. He was always asking everybody for ideas, always, questions about, and we analyzed things up, down, and all around, sometimes probably a little bit too much. Because you can get caught there a little bit, but the game just evolved, and you just try to minimize your mistakes. And every GM makes mistakes. It's just the way it is. It's a tough business. It's tough to gauge players and who's going to fit with your team and who's not. But you got to do all the work in the meantime to dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure you're making the best decisions possible.
I think Dean did something that I thought was really transformative. And were you there when Brant Myers was there, Ron?
Yeah.
He brought Brant in just to work with the guys. We all know that substance abuse can be an issue in our game because it's intense and it's lots going on and there's lots of temptation. I thought it was really intriguing that Dean brought Brant in to just be that liaison and take care of the guys. And, it seemed like he created an environment where the players were important versus saying it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different areas that you can delve into. Young players come in, whether they're 18, 19, 20, 21, and they haven't really lived a lot. And, all of a sudden they get money and all the things that come along with it and fame. And some guys just need a mentor. And I think it's a good idea just to have a guy around that's a mentor that doesn't come to management and doesn't go to the coach. The players can trust them just to talk about their issues, whether they're family issues or hockey issues. So there's so many ways that you can try to help your players be the best they can be. And in the end, that's your goal, is to get the most out of every player and then bring them together collectively.
Yeah.
We're joined by Ron Hextall, of course, a longtime NHLer, 15-year career, and then in management for 24 years here in the business of sports. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I do want to talk about, the building of a cup-winning team, the importance of that, into the playoff run as well when we return on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's AquaCentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price, starting at just $1 plus tax. For a small, great tasting coffee every single day. Must be McCafe.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $9.99, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save. Up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for detail. The Brick, saving you more.
Garage Superstore by Premier Built Garages is the ultimate destination for everything garage. Storage solutions and cabinets? Garage Superstore has it. Vehicle hoists? Got those too. Durable polyaspartic floor coatings? You bet. From mess to masterpiece, one garage at a time. And when it's time to eat, Traeger Grills brings the heat with wood-fired flavor that can't be beat. Need it? They've got it at Garage Superstore by Premier Built Garages. Visit their massive 8,000 square foot showroom at Calgary Trail and 34th or garagesuperstore.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebans.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebans.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor alongside Ritch Winter on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, the business of sports. And our guest today, of course, Ron Hextall. And Ron, I was looking, when you went to LA, you joined them in 2006. You guys ended up winning a cup in 2012. Then you left in the summer of 13 to go back to Philadelphia. But you were there kind of building that team because the Kings, you know, they weren't an overly competitive team when you joined them. And then, you know, drafting became a big foundation of the Kings. You know, they had Kopitar and Quick from 2005 draft, and that was it. And, you know, Drew Doughty. But, man, in between, they had lots of other players, Wayne Simmons, Alex Martinez, Dwight King, you know, Voyanov, Kyle Clifford, you know, Jordan Nolan, Nick Dowd, Forbert, Toffoli. Like, you really built a lot of your team through the draft and then through trades. And I'm guessing that you must have, as an assistant GM and then director, you must have had a big say in the trades. And a lot of those trades that you made as an organization really ended up helping you guys win the cup, right? The specific one, of course, Stoll and Green from Edmonton to LA. Kind of take us through all the trades and kind of what goes into that process for you as an assistant GM, and how much is it the assistant GM? How much is it the GM?
Well, yeah, that was an interesting trade. The one thing I didn't mention in terms of Philly and LA was, in Philly, it was you were just trying to get better every year, add a player, get better. LA, it was building, and when Dean went through it and said we're going to build a team here, that was really interesting to me to kind of put every block in place and try and build a team that could win a Stanley Cup. So that's the other part that I didn't mention. And when you mentioned that trade with Stoley and Matt Green, it was a character trade. I mean, we gave up Lubomir Wisnowski, who was a heck of a player, skilled left shot defenseman, power play guy. He was a real. I mean, we gave up the best player in the deal, but we got character back. And when you look at that franchise, there was a few important trades, obviously, but that was one of the key ones in terms of having two guys that were character guys, showed up every day, played the game the right way, played hard, played gritty. Were really influential in the room. So if you look back at that, the Stanley Cups there, those two guys had a huge part in it.
And when you negotiate that, like you're looking, okay, we need character. How do you determine that in your group?
Well, you talk to the scouts, obviously. You know what you know, and Dean knew what he knew. You also do, you do some background checks. You talk to people that you know that have been associated with them or know them. You always want to get something on not only the player, but the person off the ice. And everything came back. You almost always do that when you're making a big trade. Try to find out the character of the player. Sometimes you can go back as far as your amateur scouts, like where was he his draft year? What did you guys think of his character? So there's many avenues that you travel down before you make a big trade like that.
And when you're building those blocks, like, it doesn't happen right away. Like Justin Williams turned out to be a huge piece of your team, but you got him in 2009, right? And so it doesn't like lead to instant success. You won the cup 3 years later. When did you get to the point of we're building to now we're just trying to get like that final piece? And did you find along the way is like the middle block is like, when do you know which pieces are more important or harder to obtain than others?
Well, they're all hard to obtain. I mean, obviously centers and top four defensemen, the goalie are the hardest thing, but your top two defensemen, your top two centers, I mean, sometimes you can be a little bit weaker on the wing. Your centers make them better. There is the odd exception to that where you have high-end wingers where you kind of fill in a little bit for maybe a second-line center that's not quite up to speed. But I think if you look back there, I think, we identified our holes. We were good in net. We felt like we were pretty good on defense. Our holes were up front. We needed to add depth up front, and that's when we traded for Jeff Carter and Mike Richards were really the final two pieces that came in to help us win. But I remember Ritchie playing 2C, and he didn't have a lot to play with on the wing, and we knew that him and Carter had played together and felt like that would be a good match. And Jeff happened to be available from Columbus there, so.
And it's interesting how it happened to some degree, because when I got Ilya Brizgalov signed to the big deal, I really couldn't fathom how they were going to make it all work, but they found a way, and it to some degree helped you with a cup.
Yeah, you got a nice deal there too.
Yeah. He made $40 million for 2 years.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Good money if you can get it. And so Ron, you reached the pinnacle and you win a Stanley Cup. And then you went back to Philly. Was Philly always where the heart was, kind of, or was it, did you know that when you're going to Philly, now you've been an assistant GM, you went to Philly and you were assistant GM and director of hockey operations. Was that like the next step, knowing that eventually you were going to take over and become the GM in Philly? Was that part of the plan when you left LA?
No, I did not know. I'm not exactly sure why I left LA. It was more of a gut thing at the time. Like we accomplished what we set out to do in the cup. And it just, I don't know, it just felt right at the time. And again, I went back, it was a lateral move. And Dean said when I left, he told the guys in Philly and told me, you can make one lateral move and that's back to Philly if you ever want to go. And so I had that, avenue open to me if I wanted to go, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. I guess, like I said, we set out and accomplished our goal in LA there, and it's just a gut feeling that to go back to Philly.
So you go back and you're there. I think you're hired in the summer of 2013, and a year later you get promoted to the GM job. So you weren't expected. Now you're the GM. You've been the assistant GM and director of hockey operations, and you pro scout and, lots of different things, amateur scouting, but now you're the GM. What was the biggest learning curve for you to be the GM?
Well, I mean, you're the final decision maker. I mean, I remember Dean saying to me in LA, I sit across the table from him and, maybe we should think about doing this or doing that. And he said to me, you're going to find out someday when you're in the hot seat, it's a little bit different than sitting across the table and, telling a guy what to do. So, I mean, it's not something you don't know, but yeah, when you get there, you are the final decision maker. Obviously you got to run most things through ownership. But you're the final decision maker. And, that's the biggest, I guess, adjustment, so to speak, as opposed to assistant GM where you're kind of, I like this idea, Dean. I think this is what we should do. And then in the end, he's got to make the decision. He's the point man.
How much say, because it changes from every organization and everybody's different philosophy, Ron, but when you were the GM, when it came to the draft, how much did you just give your head director of amateur scout and say, hey, I'm going to trust you? Or did you have a big say in the drafts?
I wouldn't say I had a big say. We had meetings. I like to see the top players so I could ask questions. But we, actually in both places we had really good staff. So the amateurs, they're the guys out watching the players.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's I've got to make the final call. But if it's 4-3 with our guys, typically you're going with the 4-3. So you have to listen to your guys. They're out in the field. They know the players. They've been around. As a GM, you oversee it. And even when you get a call on we can move back or we can move up. You're asking your amateur scouts, what do you think? We can move up 5 spots, but we got to give up. I think we did it with Travis Konechny with Toronto there. We moved from 29 to 24, if I remember, but we had to give up 61. So now I'd seen Konechny. Our guys really like Konechny. But you still go to them and say, okay, we can get 24 for 29. And I think it was 61. And they were all like, yeah, we're in. So then you make the deal. But I mean, those guys are, again, the guys that put the work in and they're out in the field.
Ron Hextall joins us today on the business of sports. And when you're the final decision maker, when you look back on it, and no GM has a perfect record. It's impossible. No player has a perfect record at the end of the day, right? What you look back, was there ever a move that you were close to making that you didn't make, and you're like, damn, I wish I would have made that move?
Well, yeah, there's some like that, and there's also some the other way. They say sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't make, right? But I mean, there's a lot of moves that you question. There's also a lot of moves that are close, and then the other guy pulls out. Like, you talk about so much stuff over the course of a season.
Okay.
No, I always say I don't know, maybe it's 1 in 50 or actually happens. So
Okay.
It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of, you go over with your pro scouting staff. Okay, here's our hole in our team. You talk to your coaches, you talk to your assistant GM. Here's a hole or holes on our team. Here's what we'd like to fill. Okay, now let's go through our options. You go through the teams that are out of it, players that might be available, the unrestricteds, those types of holes that you're trying to shore up on your team, and then going through the list of teams that are out of it, or you think might be out of it, that might bite on giving up one of the players that fits the profile that you need.
I've never really given a lot of thought from the management side, but July 1st must be a nightmare for you guys, right? You got 5 guys on your list, and you're talking to agents, and you think you got one, and then you miss the other. It's got to be a nightmare. Talk about that.
We always say it's our most unintelligent day of the year, July 1st. You guys love it, and we hate it.
Yeah.
You do some things. Here's the problem. You get to a point where you go over everything long before free agency, and you say, player X, we will pay him up to this amount. And then all of a sudden you get to July 1st and player X is beyond that amount. And you start adding and say, well, it's only $500,000 more, or it's only $1 million more than we were going to give him anyway. And all of a sudden, the agent, all of a sudden he's in your back pocket without you even knowing, taking your wallet from you. So it's one of those things where you got to really be prepared for. And, your ownership's got to be on board too. I mean, they've got to understand that there's a limit that you're going to go to, because if you pay a guy, more money than you should, and you pay him for 5 years, those last couple of years, they might not be real productive. And you're trying to sign young players at that time. We were in a little bit of that position in Philly when I took over, where we had an aging roster. We had a lot of big contracts, and it took us, the first 2 to 3 years just to kind of alleviate ourselves from some of the older players with the big contracts. And then we started the process of, trying to get some of the younger players signed and more draft picks and continue the building process. But it's with the salary cap, it's tough. It's, sometimes your ownership wants you to, well, we got to get a big name. We got to get a big name. And then again, a couple of years later, teams aren't going to want that big name. They're going to want your good young players. So you might have to sacrifice a couple of your young players because of a move you made a couple of years ago. So I tried to be very strategic on who we were signing and how long, and who we had coming up in, whether it was 2 or 3 years, a young player to sign, and make decisions based on all of the information above.
And it's interesting. I had a long talk with Bill Guerin over this last summer, and he said they're looking at, well, we could use some scoring, but he was looking at wingers. He says, look, they're going to be 5, 6, $6.5 million, and he started thinking that they're going to focus more on preventing goals. Because I think sometimes teams just get in that cycle where you're negotiating for the $5 million. Next thing you're at 6.5, and you're getting a call from an agent says if it's 6.75, we have a deal, and I think sometimes they go after offense when defense wins championships. And I sometimes think, you can pick up a $3.5 million player that will prevent an extra 5 or 10 goals, get 10 himself, and the 20 goal guy who will be minus 14 is somebody you generally overpay for.
There's no question, and those are some of the toughest arguments or conversation to have with your ownership group, because they like the big fancy shiny toy. And you're sitting there going, no, we can win more games if we, I mean, look at goaltending. Like, how important is it, right?
Yeah.
And goaltending right now, I think, is at a premium. We lost a lot of guys about preventing goals, like the Lundqvist and the Luongos and the Pekarinis. And there's a couple other guys that we lost within a couple of years, and they really haven't been replaced. So goaltending right now, I don't think it's at its peak. I think it's a little bit weak right now. So what is a goaltender worth? Okay, so now you want to protect your goalie to prevent goals. As you said, the goal scorers get paid most of the money, right? Like you said, the 2A guys, they do fine and everything else. But if you can do what you said, get a good 10-goal scorer that's a great defensive player that can play against the other team's top line and shut the big line down, or at least keep them reasonable, a lot of times it'll pay more dividends than paying the 30-goal guy that's a terrible defensive player. And, I always look at it and say there's a good 30-goal scorer, there's a good 20-goal scorer, and there's not a very good 20-goal scorer, a guy who's terrible defensively. Scoring 20 goals, you go, well, I got 20 goals. It looks pretty good in arbitration. But then you're going, well, he's not a good defensive player. We can't have him out there against the other team's top line. Now you got to kind of hide the guy, and it makes it really difficult on your coaching staff. So it's a good point.
Well, and you look at the playoffs this year, and you look at the line, like the Lowry line in Winnipeg. Like, is that their most valuable line? It actually might be, right? It's hard to process or catalog how many goals they're preventing, but that's the kind of line that you really can't do without in the playoffs.
It is, and you're right. It's hard to quantify, and that line, as good as they are in the regular season, they're even better in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because things just tighten up, and the big body and Lowry, the way he plays, like, how would you like to play against him every night? You're the other team's, one of their top players, and you're like, oh, I got to play against Lowry every night. He's big, he's strong, he's mean, he's a pretty smart player too. So it's so there is an intimidation factor on the other side. Maybe a top player's like, man, I hate to play against him for the next 7 games, and it does have an effect on certain players, and obviously he's going to check tight. So those are the types of lines that you win with. You got to have your top 6. Obviously, you got to have to have a Lowry in the middle there is it's hard to put a price on it.
Yeah.
Ron Hextall joins us today on the Business of Sports here on Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll take one final break, come back. We are going to talk about, the building of that team, Ron. I like what you said. The free agency is the most unintelligent day, I think you said, of the year. So we'll get to that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Get moving with Volvo and save big for summer during the May sales event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's the final month to lease or finance a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $3,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
For a rock-solid start on all your spring and summer projects, Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete to septic tanks, precast water pads to outhouses, plus aggregates, landscaping supplies, and more. Renos, construction. Start planning right now at BashawConcrete.com or call 780-372-3854. That's 780-372-3854. Family owned and operated, proudly serving Albertans since 1963. Bashaw Concrete Products.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital at BCS Market Garden Equipment. Winter left a mess, and the Lawnmower Hospital brings you solutions. From BCS tillers and rotary plows to power harrows and two-wheel garden tractors that go places a traditional tractor wouldn't dare. You'll find everything BCS at the Lawnmower Hospital, including attachments, accessories, hitches, wheels, and tires, plus more. See lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood-burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebands.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebands.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
All right, give me something big.
The Ford It's a Big Deal event is on.
Bigger.
Get a big truck and an even bigger deal.
Love it. Now the details.
Right now, lease a 2025 F-150 STX with the black appearance package from $220 bi-weekly at 0% APR for 24 months with $43.75 down. That's like $110 weekly.
Now bring it home.
Plus, there's a $750 bonus for eligible Ford owners. Hurry into your Alberta Ford store or visit Ford.ca today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We are back. Final segment today on the Business of Sport. Jason Gregor, Ritch winner on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor100, and you get $100 free play at PlayAlberta.ca. Long-time NHL player, then even longer as an NHL manager. Ron Hextall is our guest. And Ron, before the break, you spoke about building a team and different type of players, and you started in the non-salary cap era as a manager, and then came into the cap era. Is it better overall for the league, do you think, in the cap era?
It's definitely better for the league. I mean, I remember back when I was late in my career and just after, where I think in Philly and Detroit, we had $70 million payrolls. And if I remember correctly, I think Edmonton had a $19 million payroll. So there was a lot of the haves and the have-nots back then. And the parity in the league now it's good for the game. It's good for individual markets. It's good for some of the smaller markets. So the salary can, and you know what, I think it's been advantageous for the players, because the salary cap, we all thought the teams would spend way below it. And you know what, there's not a whole lot of teams that spend a whole lot below it. Obviously you have the floor, but even some of the teams that back in the day you'd see with a really low payroll, they're up there pretty good now. So I think it's been good for the game, and I also think it's been good for the players.
I think the thing I'd like to see that they don't have is some kind of an exception, Ron, because if you have a GM that makes two big mistakes on long-term deals, it can hamstring you for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, So I'd like to see a bit of an exemption, but I don't think we're getting one.
Yeah, I actually thought that with the last CBA, maybe you get the one free buyout, and it never happened. So, I mean, I understand why. As an owner, you probably don't want it. As an agent, you probably want it. As a GM, if you make that mistake, of course you want it. But I agree. I mean, in some ways, it would help certain teams to get out of a mess, but it also makes you more aware when you're doing those July 1st deals. Let's be a little more mindful of what could happen here, the downside here, not just the upside.
Yeah. Now, Ron, you're at a time, and you've been out the game for a few years. There's 32 GM jobs, and GMs, like coaches, well, maybe coaches even more, are changing all the time. We have the Islanders. It sounds like Ken Holland's going to LA. For yourself, having been a GM, do you want to get back in the game? Like when the Islanders job comes open, like, do you apply for it? Do you send out a resume? How does it work?
Yeah, no, I'm not one of those guys. I always just sit back, and if somebody calls me, I certainly listen, but I'm not one of those guys that goes out and goes after it. I know a lot of people do, but just not my nature.
Not your nature. Okay, so you would sit there. What would it take for you to, like, would you come back in an assistant GM job? Would it only be a GM job? Where are you at in kind of maybe your mindset on what you'd want to do in your career? Are you done with hockey?
No, you know what? I love the game. I also feel like the game doesn't owe me anything. I spent, like I said, almost 40 years in it. Would I like to work? Yeah, I'd like to work, and I'd listen to whatever came along. wouldn't necessarily take anything that came along. I'd certainly listen because I do love the game. I'm also, you know what, I'm okay if nothing happens. I'm okay with that as well.
You were in an advisor role for a while too. What does an advisor do?
It was actually a lot of fun. I mean, it was back in LA. With Rob Lake and Nelson Emerson and people that I knew from LA. It was like the same crew was still there. Luc Robitaille was still there. So it was a blast. For me, it was a blast. It kept me in the game. So what I would do is I would go out there for a week, every 5 or 6 weeks, watch their big team and watch their minor league team and just be in on the conversations and add whatever you can add, with whether it be trades, signings, evaluations of players, what you think of players, what you think of their team. Just be around essentially to talk about what's going on with their group and give opinions on whatever you think can be improved or what you think is going well.
And sometimes it's good to have an outside view because you're not sitting in the room all the time and getting biased by the conversations. I think it's good to have a few advisory consultant types.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Having somebody on the outside that's not in the daily grind every day, just with maybe some ideas. I certainly would, if I got back in, I would certainly look for somebody. I mean, I had Berkey essentially in Pittsburgh there.
Okay.
Who was terrific. You always wanted to trade for the toughest guy in the league, and but he was really good. And he was president of hockey ops, but essentially he was putting in a lot of time and giving us a lot of different ideas. And he'd been down that road. I mean, Berkey had a lot of experience, so he was great for me in Pitt there.
Ron Hextall joins us, and Ron, there's so many different roles you can do. You being a former goalie, the goalie position, people kind of joke it's a little bit like voodoo, because it's hard to be consistent every year, but a lot of it does depend nowadays on the environment and the system in front of a goalie, right? There's so much more, side to side, and goalies, even the best goalies, like you look at Hellebuck and you look at Kemper and Vasilevsky's numbers in the postseason this year, and they're all Vezina Trophy finalists, for goodness sakes, and it's tough. Yeah. When you talk about the goalie position being a little bit less, having the peak guys right now, why do you think that is? And what do you look for specific in a goaltender that you think can help a team?
I think the goalie position right now is a little bit cyclical. I'm sure in the next few years there's probably going to be some really good young goalies come up. So I think it's a little bit cyclical. You kind of see it with the Finns and then the Russians and the Canadians. Like, it's just I can't put a finger on why, but I do think it's cyclical, like other things in the game. And it's hard to say right now why. The goalie position is obviously it's demanding. And as you mentioned, the consistency part is the hardest part. I think when I look back at like a guy like Marty Brodeur or Patrick Roy, the consistency they had year after year which is what made them two of the greatest of all time. But it is hard. I mean, from past experience, it's hard to be consistent every year. I don't know why. There are ebbs and flows, no question, with your team. And, sometimes if your team scores a lot of goals versus not scoring a lot of goals, you feel a little bit more pressure. When your team doesn't score a lot of goals, you let the one bad goal and it costs you game, and it just sort of snowballs. So there is some tied into your team, but it's a real mental game with goalies. And you see it like Skinner last night, right? You go, all right, you had a good game, got a shutout, probably feeling good about himself, and hopefully he rolls that in. But it is hard to be consistent. But you don't, as a goalie, you can't just play hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a forward struggling, you can play hard and make a couple hits and try and help your team in a gritty way, whatever. As a goalie, I mean, let's be honest, it comes down to one thing: stopping the puck. And sometimes things just don't go your way, and things get in your head, and all of a sudden you start doubting yourself a little bit short term. I mean, nobody doubts himself, I don't think, in the NHL long term, but over the course of a short period of time, a week or two, you're just not feeling it, and you got to find a way. I always felt like practice is the way that I got back to being sharp. So I liked a couple days of practice, but during the playoffs, that's hard. There's no time to practice.
Now, Ron, obviously I've met you many times in the manager role. I wouldn't say, talked to a lot of people who have, and they always chuckle. They're like, man, the Ron Hextall you meet off of the ice, calm, very, very much a big thinker. And Ron Hextall on the ice, people are like, that guy was a lunatic. He was so aggressive and intense. How did that personality come about for you in the game?
Well, thank God it's different, right? I don't think I could act off the ice like I did on the ice. You know what? It's just a competitive, I don't know, you get on the ice, it's just different. Like you're competing. I can't really explain what it is. I mean, I was like that when I was a young kid. And
okay.
Sort of always reared its head on the ice. You get on the ice, it's different. You're competing. And I can't really explain it. I mean, my wife always says, even in pickleball, you're competitive. Like, well, what are you supposed to go out and not compete? I mean, I like to compete. I enjoy competing, whether it's as a manager, as a player, as a, competing against myself on a bike ride. I like to compete.
Now, when you compete, though, as a manager, let's say like negotiations with an agent like Ritch or with an opposing GM, it's obviously very different, right? It's not like a physical one. It's maybe more of like a conversational and intellectual competition. But like, did you ever find sometimes the juices started coming? You're like, okay, serenity. Now I got to calm down here in the negotiation.
I was always pretty good that way. And, sometimes you get frustrated. Maybe a guy doesn't call you back. He said, I'll call you back tomorrow. And all of a sudden, 4 days later, you finally get stuff like that. But I always kept my head, because I felt like if you start to lose your head, you're not gonna make good deals. So you gotta keep things in perspective and understand. I always try to put myself on the other side of the desk and say, okay, I'm negotiating against Ritch Winter and he's my player. What do I want for him and why and what's fair? So I try to look at the other side as hard as I could, just to try to understand where they were coming from. Because sometimes when you're only looking from your side, you're looking at the team and doing a great deal for the team, and you're not necessarily being fair to the other side. So I always try to jump the desk and figure out what I'd want if I was in Ritch's shoes.
Well, and the hardest challenge for you, now we use it to our advantage, is we all know that there's lots of players with a great arbitration case, but they're not that great. And I think that's a real challenge. It's got to be from your side. You're looking at it going, he's going to get 6. And I don't know. I don't want to pay him more than 4. That's really hard, I think.
Yeah. And you know what, Ritch, that's those 20 goal scorers you were talking about earlier, right, that they score 20 goals, but they're not very good defensively. And yeah, they help your team a little bit, but it's not a solid 20 goals. It's more like I hate to say it, but 20 goals on a losing team, or how is he going to be in the playoffs when things tighten up? He's not going to score at his 20 goal pace, and he's not good defensively. So those are the guys that it's tough. And you know what I think we've seen in recent years, I mean, there's obviously a supply and demand. We've seen in recent years, though, where teams are walking away from players because they know their ARB case is solid.
Yeah, and I think it's just really, and it's bad for the game, because ultimately we're using money in a cap world that can be spent on creating a competitive and entertaining team, and you're stuck because you're also looking at sometimes, well, he's got 20 and he's minus 300, but we don't have anybody in the hole for 3 or 4 years.
Exactly. And those are the toughest ones, and they're hard decisions. And the other part of that guy, like, it might be his career year and you don't think he's going to do it again. Right. Things went his way. His shooting percentage is, whatever, 12.9. He's never going to shoot that at that percentage again. And so he's really a 12 goal scorer that you're arguing with me that he's a 20 goal scorer. And I'm telling you, he's a 12 goal scorer.
I remember one year I had a player who had 13 broken play goals, and that's not replicable, right? That as my side, but you don't listen to that at all. In fact, the GM in that case never even brought it up. I'm not even sure he was aware of it, but in that situation, you better get, if you can, that 3 or 4 or 5 year deal, because you're not getting it next time.
Yeah, no. And there's so many cases like that. And a lot of them, we feel the same way, but like you said, we have a hole to fill, and he does an okay job in the hole. But if we go to the market, we might have to spend even more than that. So, and we don't have a lot of cap space. I mean, situations I've been in, we haven't had a whole lot of cap space. So it's a moving target every year, and you just try to make the best decisions that you can make with the information. But to me, you got to really dig into the information, like you just mentioned about 13 broken play goals. Well, you got to dig into, you got to know that too.
From a behavioral science perspective, it's just proven that the hardest thing to do is walk away. And I remember Coach Wooden telling me once that the biggest mistakes are the ones you don't correct, right? And it's hard to correct it because you made the big push to the owner, you got the player, and there's no chemistry. He's not performing, and it's just hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, you're locked in for a few years, and because of the player's performance, you're locked in. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Ron, it's been fascinating to have you on. Do you watch the playoffs? Are you pretty intense? You're in Florida right now, so I don't know if you ever go to the Panther games, but are you an intense playoff watcher?
I do watch hockey every night, playoffs or regular season. It's funny because you look at the Florida series and you look at the Colorado Dallas series, and I'm like, you know what? Those 4 teams could all win the Stanley Cup, and 2 of them are out in the first round, right? Like I hate to be those managers.
I'd hate to be the manager that let Rantanen go when he said he would play there for less.
Yeah,
probably not a good.
I think Chris did a good job adding the Nelson and Charlie Coyle there. Like, they had a good team, and they could have won the series just as easy as Dallas. That's one of those series where that's a tough pick. And Florida Tampa, it was a tough pick for me too. I thought it would go 7 games.
Who's your pick? Who's your pick to come out of the East and the West?
Oh, I don't know. It's so hard to say anymore. I like Dallas. I really like their team. But it's so, one injury, one goaltender goes soft. It's just so hard to predict anymore because what we talked about earlier, the salary cap, and there's, remember the Edmonton team back in the 80s, they had to lose the cup. When in the playoffs, you say, okay, they got to lose the cup, like they did the one year when the one goal went off Jersey's leg, right? But they got to lose it. And now it's like, you say 8 or 10 teams, you go, okay, those 8 or 10 teams, like I just mentioned, those 2 series.
Like when I met you in Banff at the Canada Cup, the team, it was like half the team knew everybody. Like literally half the team was from Edmonton. I always used to say to Glenn Sather, like, how can you go to 6 or 7 games with Philly? You have Team Canada, man. What are you doing wrong? And he just used to shake his head when I told him that. But it was mind-boggling.
I love Slats. He was a teammate of my dad's. He's one of my dad's good friends. But man, did he chirp on the bench! Oh man, yeah. drove me nuts.
Ron, always
the other thing, that Edmonton team.
Yeah.
Take that Edmonton team right now and put a salary number in for all those players.
Oh, geez, eh?
See if you can stay under the cap.
Yeah.
50 million.
It would have been you would have had to sign some good coming out of entry-level deal contracts where, like Leon Draisaitl when he made 8.5 for the last few years, right? You would have needed a few of those.
It would be really fun to have gone to arbitration with a young Gretzky at 220 points. That would have been interesting.
Oh. Well, you wouldn't have known what everybody else was making, though.
Yeah, I know. I remember how everybody used to keep it secret. Like, we'd call Kevin Lowe when I'm doing Grant's contract. He's, oh, no, I don't want to share that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, things change. Things change a lot, right? Players used to, I get it. Some people, like, how many of your friends do you know how much they make? So I get why you didn't want to tell anybody else at the time. Yeah. So it makes sense. Yeah. Ron, continued success. Hopefully we see you back in the game soon. Thanks so much for joining us in the business of sport.
All right, guys.
Take care of that leg of yours.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
That's
all right, guys.
Ron Hextall. Ritch, another great addition to the show. We appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs, and hopefully one of your clients, Calvin Pickard's, back soon.
I hope so.
That's the business of sport here at Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Let's get to Connor Halley, Sports 1440 update, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. And Truck Month continues on right now. You can get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on a 2025 Sierra HD model. Learn more at gmccanada.ca.
Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. Oilers and Golden Knights down in Vegas. Of course, the Oilers can wrap this one up, leading 3-1. Pre-game coverage, Walker and Paulson gets going in an hour just after 6 o'clock. Elsewhere, you got the Panthers and Maple Leafs meeting in Toronto. That series tied at 2 games apiece. On the hardcourt, Celtics and Knicks meeting shortly. Knicks lead that series 3-1. And at 7:30 tonight, Timberwolves and Warriors. Minnesota on top 3-1 in that series. Jays in action tonight. They'll host the Rays in about 10 minutes time. Right now, Phillies lead the Cards 5-1. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead over the Tigers, and Pirates Mets right now in a rain delay out in New York. In the WHL, you've got the Medicine Hat Tigers taking on the Spokane Chiefs. Game 4 of their series. Tigers leading 2-1. And in the PWHL, you got Toronto and Minnesota getting going shortly. The Frost can wrap this one up as they lead their best of 5 series 2-1. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Eric Van Dies from NHL.com. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just $1 a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price, starting at just $1 plus tax. For a small, great tasting coffee every single day. Must be McCafe.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $999, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off of bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save, up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Hey, Alberta, the all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app, right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta, you know it's safe, secure, and reliable. Download it now and play over 500 online casino games, live dealer tables, and unique games you'll love. Plus, bet on sports from anywhere in the province. You in? Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and deposit using promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on the house. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Get a quote now at japamachinery.com.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Oh, man, it's filling up a little early here today at On the Rocks. Everybody's fired up for the playoffs. A potential clinching game tonight for the Edmonton Oilers as they take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Also, you know what? There's a few suckers for punishment here. I see a few Leafs fans as they get set to watch the Leafs and the Panthers. Hey, it should be a hell of a game. Oh, man, there's a lot of nerves in Toronto tonight. I'd actually want to see Toronto win. Selfishly, a Toronto-Edmonton Stanley Cup final, that's a matchup Edmonton would take all day long. Say that. I think that'd be a great matchup for Edmonton, and man, would it be a fun storyline to discuss. So lots to go. Obviously, Edmonton's in a much better position today. It looks like they'll probably take on Dallas for a second consecutive season as Dallas beat Winnipeg last night. They're up 3-1. Toronto, Florida, pivotal game 5 tonight. So you might be watching that, a little bit of an appetizer for you before the main course for Oilers fans. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor100 and you'll get a free $100 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Your one-stop shop for everything. For gaming, you got casinos, live dealers, lotteries, and all, including 649, PlayAlberta.ca. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Oilers and Vegas as we get to the Spec Report brought to you by Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists who are just saying, get home safe, drive slow through construction zones. They want to get to watch the game just like you at GS Construction. We welcome in Mark Spector. Joins us. Spec, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. I'm just across the street from the rink. I can hear the party going already. The dance music's pounding out there. People are starting to trickle in and stand out in 28-degree heat in a hockey jersey right before the game. It looks awesome.
Sure, it's fun. Now, Spec, Mark Stone, how big a loss do you think that is?
Well, he's a leading goal scorer and a huge leader. Like, he's a spiritual leader. He's an important player. He's their captain. What more do we need to say here? We all know what a captain means. So if that is the case, no one's confirmed this that I've missed because I've not seen it confirmed. Have you?
Oh, yeah. I've been confirmed by quite a few people in Vegas. They think that, they're proceeding like he's not going to play. They're pretty sure he's not going to play. Now,
that's what I'm seeing that
Vegas
too. But
Vegas did say McNabb wasn't going to play and then played. So I guess you're telling me there's a chance you think he'll play.
I'm telling you that never believe a coach at playoff time. So let's proceed in this conversation like he's not going to play, because that's what everyone who went to Vegas's practice and who has contacts in their organization, that's what they seem to think. And listen, it doesn't make you better when you lose your captain and you lose your top goal scorer. You lose a guy on your first line. It just doesn't make you better. So that's the other thing is they're a little nicked up here. Saad's not playing, and he's one of their top 9 forwards. So that's 2 out of your top 9 if Stone's not there. And both McNabb and Pietrangelo, everybody probably knows this, but I'll say it. Yesterday, nobody practiced. There was no full practices. So when you miss the skate today, it's almost never because you're just looking to rest. It's because you're injured or you're hurt and you can't practice or you don't want to practice because you'll do more damage. So they're definitely getting nicked up on the other side of this thing for sure.
Yeah, and part of it's because the Oilers, I think the way they're playing, they've been the more physical team. They're very much the more physical team last game. Edmonton's playing faster. And right now, Spec, Edmonton's just a better team. And I think when Edmonton brings their A game, Vegas can't match it.
Well, I think, I judge a series often on this, Jay. Watching series that you never know what's going to happen the next time out. But if you pick from a series and you say, here's the game where Vegas played their best game in game 3. They were very, very good. Edmonton didn't have much. And when that game ended with 1 second left, it was tied. It should have made it into overtime, that game. Edmonton survived Vegas's best and had a puncher's chance in overtime. Doesn't happen. Puck goes in with 0-4 left. I get it. But when Edmonton turned around the next night and played their best game, what happened? Right? It was a 3-0 game. Vegas wasn't close. So it's pretty clear so far in this series, plays their best game. They are the superior team. When Vegas plays their best game, Edmonton can hang in there with them.
Oh, well, yeah, for certain. What do you think Cassidy is going to do matchup-wise tonight? Because, the Eichel against Draisaitl, that definitely benefited Edmonton in Game 4. Now, tonight, Vegas has last change. And, practice, it looks like, they're thinking it might alter their lines a little bit if Stone can't go. They had him moved around a bit. Do you think Eichel goes up against McDavid or Draisaitl on home ice? Or do you think they split a lot of it because they might have to play Eichel 27 minutes if they want to win?
Yeah, this is the cool part to me about playing those guys on separate lines, right? Instead of playing them together. Separate lines creates a problem for the other team. not just what you do with your first line center, but how you defend, who gets your first, pairing, for instance. And it's unique this year, Jay. Like, whoever thought we'd see, basically Podkolzin and Kapanen are 2 fourth-line guys, and they're playing with Draisaitl, your second-line center on this team. And that line, it has the ability, they did at least in Game 4, they shut Eichel's line down, man. Barbashev, Eichel, Stone, that's their top line. So we've never seen a coach who uses Draisaitl in a defensive manner quite like this. This is new. And I asked Draisaitl this morning, and I loved his answer. He said, man, if I got to put my stats away for the next few weeks here and help this team, basically win a Stanley Cup, he says, no problem, man. I'll put my stats in my pocket in a heartbeat to win a cup. So I like what's going on here. This is something new, and it's something effective, boy. Draisaitl, Podkolzin, and Kapanen, I mean, that's a really good centerman with 2 speedy physical wingers. That's a tough line for any first line to face. We're going to see that again as these playoffs go on if Edmonton advances.
Well, you look at the Oilers spec and, their depth lines. I wrote the article about it today, that the depth is in a weird way overshadowing the Connor McDavid's basically on the exact same point threshold as it was last year when everyone was going crazy, right? It just shows you like their depth guys. And when I say depth, it's really, they're the bottom 13 skaters, taking out the top 5 guys that, they've got 24 goals to 13. Hits on the team are up significantly. So they're scoring way more. They're hitting way more. And I've actually crunched all the numbers. The most BS myth about the Oilers is that they're slower than last year's team. It's not remotely close. It's not close. Did you know that Victor Arvidsson's playoff speed this year is faster than Dylan Holloway's top speed, or even the amount of bursts of 20 miles an hour he had last year?
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Then that's I have a hard time. I'm not distrusting you or saying you're wrong, but it's amazing to think that you're telling me the team that lost McLeod, Holloway, and Fogle is just as fast, right? And replaced him with
Podkolzin's as fast as Fogle, right? Arvidsson's, and I'm only going off I can only go off. So perception is one thing. Reality is the numbers that they track it, right? Arvidsson's numbers faster than Holloway in the playoffs last year. Janmark who's basically taken over McLeod's job as a center iceman. He has a few shorter bursts, but his top end speed's actually faster than McLeod, right? And he's much more physical player. So, Kane's faster this year because he's healthier, right? So yeah, the Oilers are actually a faster team, and the numbers back it up with their physical play and everything else.
Well, it's interesting. And Kapanen comes in and, he's so quick. He gets there. If he's going to play a physical game, he brings it, man. That's a guy that if you're retrieving a puck and you're Pietrangelo or McNabb tonight, a guy like 42, Kapanen. Anyway, a guy like Kapanen makes you think, right? He makes you think, man. He's banging. And this is like, I guess I'd say, Jay, this is how you win, honestly. This is a bunch of guys taking different roles. Like, start at the top with Draisaitl. Like I say, he just said this morning, don't talk to me about how many points and goals I get. If I need to check for us to win, that's what I'll do. Kapanen, he's coming in here and he's a banger. Zach Hyman leads the playoffs in hits. Like, Zach Hyman's right. He's not supposed to lead the playoffs in hits, but that's the role that's fallen into his lap this year, and he's taking it and he's running with it. Henrique his offense, I mean, he hasn't scored 2 goals in a game since he was a kid. So this is, things are falling into place. I like what I see. I like this team right now better than I liked them a year ago. And a year ago, they were a good period of hockey away from winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Mark Spector joins us. The Oilers' defensive game spec, obviously, when they're at the top of the game, it's been very good. We've seen that now in 3 out of their last 6 games. They've really dominated. They haven't given up a whole bunch in those games. And when they did in game 4, Stuart Skinner came up big. And the Oilers and Skinner in games 4 to 7 here have been ridiculously good. 15-2 overall as a team. Skinner's 11-1 in those games with a .942 save percentage and like a 1.39 goals against average. And so, I give Chris Knobloch and his coaching staff a lot of credit in how they game plan later in series. And that's what I'm watching tonight to see if Vegas can come up with something that's going to give Edmonton problems, because most teams haven't been able to do that late in series.
Yeah, no, it's totally, the ball is in Bruce Cassidy's court. You're totally right. And I think it starts with that LA series. Every year, LA gives Edmonton a little bit of a wrinkle on that system they play. And every year the Oilers lose one of the first 3 games, or sometimes 2 of them. And they go, man, this LA team, we got to dig in and figure these guys out. And every year, the longer the series goes, the bigger the margin between the 2 teams, right? Edmonton always cracks the lock that is the LA Kings, and then it goes from there. And you're right. Like, your numbers don't lie. They're really good at the end of series, because as the series goes on, Edmonton figures it out. They figure out the other team's goalie. I think Edmonton shooters have a pretty good reputation after 4 or 5 games of figuring out where to shoot and how to beat them. And the coaching staff makes the right calls. Like, these guys are, we've talked since Knobloch came, I think the periodic conversation is, man, did he ever push the right buttons the other night? Not that often we're accusing him of pushing the wrong ones here. So, your numbers are good. Like, those end of series numbers. It makes it pretty clear what's going on here. The Oilers' adjustments work, and they got good players who are able to execute those adjustments, and they're not boomeranging on them. The other team's not making counter adjustments to start winning late games. At least they haven't started yet.
Mark Spector joined us. Spec, you watched any of that Dallas-Winnipeg game last night, and you see that first goal on Hellebuck, and you're like, Winnipeg, like, they're going to go out again here with their all-star goalie not playing close to all-star caliber.
Yeah, I mean, small picture, you're right. There's no question. Hellebuck's not as good in the playoffs as he is in the regular season. You won't find anyone to dispute that. Large picture, Ottinger let in one that might have been worse to make it 1-1. So in my eyes, it's a 1-1 game. You're starting again. It's an important game. And what happens for Winnipeg at that point? Nobody scores a goal. I mean, they got 1 goal last night. Ehlers puts it in from the sideboards on a puck that never should have gone in. Where's Scheifele, right? Kyle Connor has 2 chances to score a goal and be an impact. He doesn't put it away. Where's Morrissey? Where's Velarde, right? Scheifele was a rumor in that game. He's my supposed to be my best forward here. You can't win. We've all watched the stats. I saw it today. Winnipeg has 1 scorer in the top 25 in these playoffs right now. Sorry. You don't get to advance if you got 1 guy in the top 25. If Matthews and Marner are going to score at the pace they're at, Toronto's not advancing either. Those guys got to get on their horse. So, yes, no one loves Hellebuck's game here. I'm with you. But I'm looking past Hellebuck right now in Winnipeg. They need some more guys to pitch in here.
Yeah, but it's hard to win when your team is based on and built around your goalie being good, and your goalie's not even being average. So I think that
well, it's hard to win when you score 1.
No, that's totally fair, right? But you're a team that for 2 years in a row, what was the identity of the Winnipeg Jets, Spec? It's not a great offensive team; it's a great defensive team, right? That's what their identity is. And I think it's hard to then suddenly in the playoffs say, well, you know what, geez, we're going to need something other than that to be our identity. Now, they're a good offensive team. That's totally fair, right? But they should be better. But, man, when I look at some of those goals that Hellebuck's giving up, like unscreened from 32 feet out by a non-Ovechkin sniper is not a goal. Like, if that happens once in a blue moon, okay. Expect that's happening almost every game. Like, you go back to the St. Louis Snuggerud, like, there's 5 or 6 of those shots that are just like, and I saw, a lot of the goalie guys, Stephen Valaquette talking about just his positioning. He's hunched over way too much. Like, this guy's in his kitchen, right? Mentally, he's not there. And that's 3 years in a row. And it looks like he's kind of got, he's the anti-Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux would elevate his game in the playoffs, right? Like, and I would say this, Spec, and we got a texter, and I wish I had his name. We have too many texts today. But I like what he said. He goes, Bouchard and Hellebuck are the opposite. Bouchard elevates his game in the playoffs. There's how many glaring giveaways, nonchalant plays do we see from Bouchard? Not very many in the playoffs, if any.
Oh, boy. Almost none.
Whereas Hellebuck great in the regular season, comes to the playoffs, and he's just, man, he is soiling the sheets every game.
Yeah, it's a real conundrum, and you're right. What would you say if you're Winnipeg? Gee, we'd rather not have a guy that wins the Vezina every second year. I mean, you got a great goalie. You're going to pay him. You're going to want him. You're going to love him. And then this happens in the playoffs. Like, it's here we are in Edmonton with Stu Skinner, and people, I know how bad they beat him up every puck that finds its way in. But look at his numbers in the playoffs. Look at the bad goals he lets in games 4 through 7. There aren't any. So I don't know. Like the old joke, Rob Tychkowski made the joke the other day at a game. He says, we were watching Hellebuck let in another lousy goal. He says, everyone tells the Oilers to go get a guy like Hellebuck. Well, they got one. So I don't know what to tell you. If I'm Winnipeg, I'm not trading him. What are you doing? Like, I'm not moving my goalie. I love my goalie, but what do I do with a guy?
Wow. Man, I don't know. Maybe if he has a sports psychologist, I might get him a different one. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great question. The Winnipeg Jets spec are now, they didn't lose in the first round all the time, but the Jets / Hellebuck are going to be in the conversation of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Regular season is going to mean nothing for Winnipeg anymore in Hellebuck. Hellebuck can have a 1.99 and a 920 save percentage every regular season. Until he shows he can be good in the playoffs, none of it's going to matter. Sadly, and that's where Winnipeg's at for him, because he has gone 3 years in a row. It's not a one-off. It's 3 consecutive seasons where he has been well below at, not just like 900 spec. We're talking awful numbers 3 years in a row for Hellebuck in the playoffs.
Yeah. Listen, man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how, look at Toronto going to war with Stolars and Joe Wall. Like, whoever thought that's enough? And, I don't know what's going to happen in the series, but they're right in it against the Stanley Cup champs, Shesterkin's one of the best goalies in the league, in my opinion. Look what happened to him this year. He wasn't any good. Demko seems like a great goalie, but he's a Band-Aid, and you can't win with a guy who gets hurt every 2 weeks. So, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, buddy.
Well, here's the thing,
build a good team.
Well, there's your answer. Did you know that Shesterkin had I think the highest goal save above expected, right up there, but he had one of the worst environments in the NHL in front of him. So even the greatest goalie in the world, that's why I argue I'm not paying huge money for a goalie. I'm not doing it because in today's game, it's about the environment. Yeah, you want to have a big goalie, can make some big saves for you. And now Tampa Bay won with Vasilevsky before he signed his big deal. Then his big deal kicked in and they won their second cup. Okay, it worked. Now Vasilevsky's pretty damn good. And then he got a little worn down. He came back this year, sure. But if your team environment isn't good in front of you, look at Kemper, look at Vasilevsky.
Yep.
And here's the worrisome part about Winnipeg. They had the best goalie environment in the regular season. And even in the playoffs, it's been middle of the pack. And Hellebuck, it's almost like, Hellebuck can put up great numbers when the team defense is good. But the minute it isn't, he struggles. And that's the concern for Winnipeg. They're like, what do we got to do? We got to find like the best defensive system ever because our goalie can't make a save from 32 feet out. That's a tough one.
Well, it reminds me of Skinner. Like I've always said this about Skinner. He doesn't win games for you where you don't play very well. But when you play well, he rewards you and you win games. And in these playoffs, game 1 and 2 against LA, the environment was lousy and the Oilers were lousy. And Skinner was, I guess, not great. Lousy, maybe. Game 3 against Vegas, he gets back in. The Edmonton plays their worst game of the series. He gets them to overtime almost, 0.4 seconds, but they don't win. Then last game in game 4, Edmonton plays. Edmonton plays, gives them an environment. They play the way you hope your team's going to play. If Edmonton doesn't play well, who cares who their goalie is? They're not winning. So when they play well, he shuts you out. He let in 1, right? So I'm not sure that an inexpensive goalie, that I don't need goalies to save games for me, because if I need my game saved all the time, my team's not good enough, right? Maybe I'd rather have a guy making less money, spend it on my team up front, and play well. How about that?
Here's the thing, Spec. Hellebuck has started 21 games the last 3 years in the playoffs.
Okay.
Three games, he has a 900 save percentage. 3.
Right.
3 out of 21. Now, Stuart Skinner, he said he can't win any games. Stuart Skinner won game 6 when the Oilers were junk in front of him.
He did.
Right? He did one. Even did the LA game when they got outshot 33-13. Now, Skinner can be more inconsistent. There's no question about that. When he's off, he can be really off. I don't doubt that. But, man, when you pay a guy that much money and 3 out of 21 games, he just has a 900 save percentage. Just 900 3 times. It's like, I'm sorry. It ain't good enough.
Wow.
Remotely good enough.
Crazy, man. Who you got tonight, Jay?
Edmonton has had a good killer instinct when they have a chance to put teams away. So I will say they continue that tonight.
Good. Well, I would. I feel like they've got, it's particularly with this injury situation. I feel like Vegas might be running on fumes a little bit here. If Stone's not playing, Petrangelo's dinged up, McNabb's dinged up. I feel like if Edmonton, Chris Knobloch said something this morning. He said, one of the things about our team is we haven't always followed up a really, really strong game with another one. We haven't always ran out our great game, our grade A game, and done it twice in a row. If they can get to some version of what we watched in game 4 in Edmonton, wait a second, game 4 in Edmonton, yes. Yeah. If they get close to that, they'll beat Vegas tonight. They're not just throwing their sticks out and winning a game. If they play like they played the other night, I don't think Vegas can handle it anymore. I think Vegas is eroding. And so I guess I'll trust that they'll play that game. I'll trust they'll win tonight. Be a tough one, but I'll bet you Edmonton wins.
Spec, enjoy the game.
Hey, thanks, Jay.
That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. We are live at On the Rocks, Jasper Ave, 118th Street, your place to watch the game. People filing in already, getting set. Of course, the early game's already going. Toronto and the Florida Panthers. We'll update you on that. And then the Oilers in Vegas, puck drop 7:50 tonight. We'll have all the pregame show right up until puck drop here on Sports 1440. Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll return with a DVD.
Get moving with Volvo and save big for summer during the May sales event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's the final month to lease or finance a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $3,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Garage Superstore by Premier Built Garages is the ultimate destination for everything garage. Storage solutions and cabinets? Garage Superstore has it. Vehicle hoists? Got those too. Durable polyaspartic floor coatings? You bet. From mess to masterpiece, one garage at a time. And when it's time to eat, Traeger Grills brings the heat with wood-fired flavor that can't be beat. Need it? They've got it at Garage Superstore by Premier Built Garages. Visit their massive 8,000 square foot showroom at Calgary Trail and 34th or garagesuperstore.ca.
Fire bans and restrictions are now in effect for parts of Alberta where wildfire danger is very high or extreme. Because of dry and windy conditions, wood-burning fires may not be permitted on public or private lands. Visit albertafirebans.ca for more information about bans or restrictions in your area. That's albertafirebans.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 EEE. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo. the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and I have a list of things I like to have on set. It's just little things like 2 freshly cracked eggs scrambled with crispy hash brown, sausage crumble, and creamy chipotle sauce from Tim Hortons. From my rider to Tim's menu, try my new scrambled eggs loaded breakfast box.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.533, Gregor Halley with you on a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're having an awesome day. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $12 million up for grabs tonight in Lotto 649. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. As we get in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. Take action on your savings with one of Alberta's most competitive and leading electrical companies in service, projects, tag, and solar. That's actionelectrical.net. As Derek Van Diest from NHL.com joins us from Las Vegas. And DVD, I will say, I don't know if it was the bar, whoever it was pretty witty in Vegas with the 0.4 that they had up at the bar. But I don't know if there's any signs or anything in Edmonton that are going to counter, because the 3-0 victory last game, probably more impressive than the 0.4 winner.
It was. And you know what? Talking to the guys this morning, and I just get a sense that the owners feel, listen, if we don't throw goals away, we don't give the puck up, we take care of it, we don't have turnovers, we don't make bonehead plays in our own zone, we don't start flopping all over the ice, we're a much better team. And I think they sense that. If they can just go out and play their game, don't throw the game away. And I think that's the key to these guys, is not to throw the game away. They're a much better team. And you get that sense in the room today that, hey, that's how we got to win this game. They just don't throw it away. We're the better team. And you saw that in the last game. Stuart Skinner had a good game, but the guys didn't make those bonehead mistakes and give up those grade A chances. You got to make the team generate their chances. And I think they did that last game. And Vegas generated some chances. They had a couple of posts. Eichel hit the crossbar on the power play, but don't make the big bonehead mistakes. And you could argue that in game 3, there was at least 2 or 3 huge bonehead mistakes, including that one with 0.4 seconds left, 10 seconds, 8 seconds left to go in the game. You got the puck deep in their zone. Why are you forechecking 2 guys? Why is Draisaitl doing a drive-by at center ice? Why is a guy beating you to a puck dumped into the corner? Why are 2 guys flopping in front of them? So I think they get a sense that, hey, just play our game, put it out there, play one good game, and get out of here, and hopefully they can wrap this thing up tonight.
The injury bug is biting in Vegas right now, and you know what? Some of that might due to the physicality of the Oilers, or maybe just its lingering ones. But like, I know Pavel Dorofeyev has played, but he clearly looks like a guy who isn't 100%. Pietrangelo, same thing. And yeah, hey, we've seen that on the other side where the Oilers, the playoffs are a battle. I don't think Vegas was as good as Edmonton when the series began, and now that they're banged up, I just think it makes it even harder for them to come back.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's a grind. And I think the Oilers, in the long run, that time off before the end of the regular season for some of their guys is probably a good thing, because they went in fit and healthy. But it's a grind. And we know that so many guys are playing hurt. No one knows if Mark Stone will play tonight. He's playing backed up. Pietrangelo took a puck off the foot. It looked like that was extremely painful. He's banged up. McNabb with his shoulder. So, yeah, when you're eventually the grind catches up to you, and you look at a team like Vegas that is always there, is always in the playoffs, is always around, is always on long runs. And those guys there's a lot of miles logged in those bodies, and I think it's really starting to catch up to them, and you can see this now. And yeah, they're coming in here a wounded group, and I think they're right for the picking. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, you want to look at these guys and say, hey, we can finish this off in 5. We can have a bunch of days to recover, rest, and then we're fresh for the conference final again. And I think that's a big thing. Last year they went all the way to 7. They won the conference final, but they obviously didn't have a lot left at the start of the Stanley Cup final. But I think that's what they're really looking at here. Let's finish this off in 5, win this and go home, relax for a couple of days, and then prepare for whoever our opponent's going to be, which looks like it's going to be the Dallas Stars. Then we prepare for that. And I think that's the big motivation for the Edmonton Oilers going into this game. That's the cherry. Let's finish this off in 5. They're a wounded group. They're, who knows what lineup Vegas is going to ice tonight. But yeah, the Oilers are playing physical. They're playing strong. They're hard on the forecheck, and it's taking its toll. And I think that's the big motivation tonight for Edmonton is they want to finish this off. They don't want to go back to Edmonton and have to play another game.
Yeah, they've been pretty good at it, DVD, at finishing teams when they've had opportunities lately. Here under Knobloch, 4-1, 6-1 in the last 3 years. The only loss was Game 7 of the Cup final last year when both teams had a chance to eliminate one another. So Edmonton's been pretty good at it. They've been very good in games 4-7, including Stuart Skinner. What do you make of Skinner and, how much that game maybe just meant for his psyche? We've seen the one thing Stuart Skinner has shown is, he can kind of struggle, but then he has shown that he has the ability to bounce back.
Yeah, he does. And you know what? It's got to take his, like, Stuart Skinner is the most laid back guy we've ever met. Like he's one of those rare gems that will talk to you on game day if you're a goalie. Like how many goalies in the league nowadays don't talk? Well, sorry, I can't talk on game day. I can't talk for 3 minutes on the day of the game, 9 hours before the game. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. Skinner will sit there and talk to you. He's such a laid back guy, but the pressure of being a goalie in this town or in Edmonton is immense. And you look back at all the goalies that have been here, it's always the goalie's fault. And I think that's such a short-sighted way of seeing things, because the goalie, what he'll do is, he'll make up for a lot of mistakes. Like he'll hide a lot of mistakes in your game and then a lot of deficiencies. And those are exposed if your goalie's not stealing games for you. But if they're playing well, then Stuart Skinner plays well. Like just don't hang him out to dry. And I think that's the one thing, is that he's been hung out to dry a lot so far in these playoffs. And you look at Game 1 and Game 2 in LA, Edmonton was just coming back. They were just getting in their lineups together. You knew they were gonna struggle those first 2 games. They did. They made bad plays with the puck. They hung Stuart out to dry. And I think they're getting better as they go along. Now, I still contend Stuart Skinner's going to have to take the ball here because I know they're saying Calvin Pickard day to day. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come back anytime soon. So it's going to be Stuart Skinner. And this is a guy that's laid back. He's been here before. Like he got them to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. People, they've been hard on him. He won Game 6 on his own against Dallas last year in the closing out game. And so he's capable of doing that. And if he puts another good effort here tonight, I think the Oilers win tonight. I think they're just the way they were so calm in the room and ready. And it was such a workman-like atmosphere in there this morning that, yeah, they're ready to go. And they know that just play one good game, what Draisaitl said. Let's just play one good game and then move on from there. Let's not worry about, we got 3 opportunities to win one game. Just put this one game out there, play your best game, and if it's their best game, it should be good enough, I believe.
Quickly, the Winnipeg Jets, I know you cover them at NHL.com as well, DVD. They're in a hole again. They're down 3-1. And, I was telling Speck the numbers, and he was blown away. So the last 3 years, 21 playoff games for Hellebuck. 3 out of 21, he's at a save percentage above 900.
That's just that's just incredible. And you talk about, and I was watching the Jet game last night, and I'm thinking to myself, they need a star to rise, and they don't have enough of that. They don't have a guy that's, your goalie's going to come up and make big saves, but offensively at the other end, you need someone to rise to the occasion. You need McDavid or Draisaitl. You need a guy. You're hoping Scheifele's that guy. You're hoping Connor's that guy. They have guys that are capable of doing that, but they're not doing it at those moments. And I think that's the situation. They only scored 1 goal last night. So you can blame as much as you want on the goalie. If you're going to score 1 goal, you're not going to win games. And I think that's the issue with the Jets, especially on the road. They can't do anything on the road because somehow other teams are able to find the matchups and the Jets can't do anything about it. And I think that's an issue. I still think Winnipeg wins, game 5, and they're going to come back and bring it back to Dallas. But they got to figure out how to win on the road. If you don't win on the road, you're never going to have playoff success. And I know that Hellebuyck, yes, he does in the regular season. You're right. He's a regular season goalie that needs to transform his game into the playoffs. He needs to elevate his game. But I also think the Jets need to elevate their game too. Other guys need to step up in those big moments, and they're just not getting that right now. They struggled in the first round. They did enough to get by, but you got to elevate your game as the playoffs go along. And I don't see guys doing that right now in Winnipeg.
No, well, not at all, right? Like, especially their goaltender. When your team's kind of built around that as hey, we're a great defensive team, and we got a great goaltender. Then you get in the playoffs, you don't have a great goaltender. I think it's really hard to switch. I thought they played better last. Now, their guys, when they had chances, Kyle Connor, it was 2-1. He had the breakaway, didn't score. Now, I know the odds are only 1 in 3 breakaways you score, but certain times you got to bury it, and they didn't. And man, I don't see them winning 3 straight against the Dallas Stars. No, I guess anything's possible, but it means they'd have to win 1 on the road.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't win on the road. Like, you have to win a game on the road.
Yeah.
And
it's killing them. So, DVD, enjoy the atmosphere in Vegas tonight. It's always a lot of fun, and we'll see if the Oilers can finish it off. Thanks for your time.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest joining us from Vegas, NHL.com. We'll come back with the lineup report and more. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, and lots of your texts and the 2-minute warning on Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling Jingle auditions take 1 for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat. Legacy. We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys. We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey, doesn't Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there, Nuge.
It's just what I do.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Bricks tent sale is on now. With so many items to clear out, they've had to set up tents in the parking lot. Save up to 60% off clearance items in the tent and store. With new specials every day and a bonus gift with furniture purchases over $9.99, these offers won't last long. Save up to 50% off select mattresses, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and the more you buy, the more you save. Up to an extra $1,000 off appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more. Kevin Carius, Low Tide, Jason Gregor. They are all ready for the Cup Run. Sports 1440 is your home for all things hockey, including our pre- and post-game show with Andrew Walker. Sports 1440 is Edmonton's sports leader.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
If you're passionate about golf, you're in for a golfer's dream at the Quarry. Challenge and natural beauty come together across 27 holes every golfer should experience. Book now. Get geared up at the Pro Shop and start swinging at the Quarry. Don't forget the Granite Grill Restaurant, an unforgettable top-tier venue to host all your events. For rental details or to book your tee time, contact the Quarry today. Edmonton's most popular golf and event venue. Call 477-THE-Q and visit thequarryedmonton.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Breathe in, breathe out, fans. A little calm before the storm. I'll tell you right now, the start of this Toronto game is doing nothing for the narrative that this team is a different team than past years. They're not being a great start for the Leafs in a pretty big game for them. They're down 1-0 and not ideal. Later in the series, I was talking about how the Oilers later in the series, games 4-7, they dominate. They're 15-2. Right, their goaltender Stuart Skinner's 11-1 in those games. Pickard's 4-1. Skinner has a .942 save percentage and a 1.39 goals against in those games. Like, it's pretty impressive. Sportsnet stat had that Austin Matthews in games 5 and 7, 5-7 is now -7. So, as I've said it all along, if their best guys aren't your best guys, it's really hard to win on a regular basis. Now, you can win the odd game. Sure, Edmonton's proven that this year. Good depth, that helps. But my goodness, you want to go deep, you're going to need much more than from your top guys, especially in the crunch time. So we'll see. Maybe they bounce back. There's a lot of time left, but the start has not been good for the Maple Leafs. Let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They're hiring. If you're looking for a great job, they're hiring plumbers and HVAC installers for a company that will give you a hiring bonus, RRSP matching, tuition reimbursement, and a very competitive wage. Go to legacyheating.ca.
I ain't singing. No way. No chance. Ain't singing. But what we have fired it up, Black Eyed Peas, from Tonight's Gonna Be a Good Night, released in 2009. There you go. And change the lyrics because we can. Still ain't singing. Where were we? Oh, yes. I got feeling with lyrics about Ready There, Gregor, Oilers netminder Stuart Skinner, and what we might expect tonight. Here we go. And no, I ain't singing. Tonight's going to be a shut tight. Tonight's going to be a Skinner fight. Ooh, Willers. Let's go. He was locked. He was dialed. Monday night, man, he styled. 32 saves, no rebounds fed. Vegas shook their heads instead. Pad stacking, glove snapping. T-Mobile was quiet. Edmonton was clapping. Not a squeak, not a slip, not a soft one through. Just a kid from Millwoods with a dream coming true. Back in net, no more doubt. Stuart Skinner stood tall and shut it out. He's got that fire, that playoff spark. He made Rogers Place go dark to mark. Blank sheet, fresh slate, clean mind. Skinner's ready, now it's go time. This series, Oilers up 3-1, but the crease feels like Vegas is done. When Skinner's calm, the team feeds off it. McDavid stangles, Dreisaitl's rocket. All start back at Skinner's net. That's the rhythm, that's the set. And now, Game 5, Las Vegas Strip, bright lights, tight grip. But Skinner's locked in, no slip. Let's go, let's ride, let's start that roll. With Stu in goal, we're in control. Tonight's going to be a tight fight, but Skinner's going to steal the night. He's back and better. That shutout, a message to Vegas, to the league, to the ghosts of round 2 past. Tonight's going to be a good night. Tonight's going to be a proud night tonight. Skinner's going to take flight. Ooh, Willers. Let's go. Okay, might sing next time. 2-minute warning with me, Frank Sinatra, also known as Cam Tate. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Gregor Show, Sports 1440.
There you go. The rhymer, the poet, Cam Tate. I love it. Quick, the lineup report brought to you by Assured Power Sports and Marine. Your place if you want boating, you want ATVs, you want fun. They mix it all together. Assured Power Sports and Marine. No lineup changes for the Edmonton Oilers. Stuart Skinner will go. The same 3D pairs. Of course, Draisaitl, McDavid, Henrique, and Janmark, the centers. Now, Vegas, Mark Stone is questionable. Some in Vegas saying they're pretty sure he's not going to play, and Schmidt might come in, and that means they're going to change all their lines. Howden was skating on the top line with Eichel, so we could see some interesting line combinations from Vegas and line matching tonight. Have yourselves a great night. Enjoy the games. Be safe if you're coming here to OTR. Plan ahead. Get a lift, cab, or an Uber. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Summer's calling and the road is open. So head out, Fountain Tire. Then get your tires checked, brakes, fluids, and whatever gets you ready for driving season at fountaintire.com. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Oilers, the Vegas Golden Knights at 7:30 down in Vegas. Pre-game coverage with Donovan Paulson and Andrew Walker coming up next right here on Sports 1440. Out in Toronto, Leafs for the Panthers 1-0 after 20 minutes. In the association, the Knicks up on the Celtics 42-33. They can win this series with a win later tonight. Warriors taking on the Timberwolves from Minneapolis in the majors. The Jays are in action right now. Scores between they and the Rays. Elsewhere, Red Sox and Tigers tied at 2 apiece, and you got the Cards on top of the Phillies 9-7 in the 5th. PWHL, Toronto trying to even up their best of 5 series with Minnesota. After 20 minutes, they lead 1-0 tonight in the WHL. You got Medicine Hat and Spokane going at it from Spokane. Tigers lead that series 2-1. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock. That's going to do it for us here on the Gregor Show. Up next, pregame coverage with Walker and Paulson here on Sports.